I'm sitting here.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. That's not.
Oh, there's what I was doing wrong. I scared myself. I was. I turned on my ICOM and got nothing. A waterfall. It's because I didn't have the antenna turned on.
Oops.
Yeah.
Sure. Walk around copper bar machine, getting ready to hit somebody. Oh. I was talking to Ken Sanborn today, and he said, yeah, Sam and I kind of got the idea we just show up about every other week with this gas prices and stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you both driving from another country. I mean, I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Last week when I came, I drove the Prius, even then, and it's gotten worse since then. But, there's two really nice things about a Prius. One is it gets like mine gets 47 miles per gallon. My wife's gets 65. And the other thing is it's only got a 10-gallon tank. So when you fill it up, you don't feel like, it's not like a pickup where you're dumping $100 in there,
Right.
It's less painful. Friend of mine told me he's got a pickup and he fills it up when it gets to 3/4 of a tank. He said, because it doesn't hurt as bad. 40, $50 instead of, 150.
There's three different sides. Well, there's Bill Boyd.
There is.
That was suspect for the. Well, Sam, I'm gonna let you talk to Bill a minute. I'm gonna go check on the guys. I'll kick this one off here.
They don't look like they're getting rowdy. They look pretty calm there.
Yeah. I'll stir them up.
All right. Hey, Bill, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you, Sam?
I'm good. Enjoying this weather.
Yeah, it was nice. I was out working today and out in the yard putting that X-beam together.
Oh, cool.
Couldn't do it in the building. I had to do it outside. So I looked like we were going to have some pretty good weather for a few days. So I got outside and got some of it done.
Yeah. They look fun to put together. I don't think it's really all that difficult, but what it looked like having a lot of kind of stepping over and around and, not getting tangled up in it all,
Hey, Ken, there's Ken.
There he is.
Okay, I was telling Sam I was putting the hex beam together today.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You got the coax hooked up in the shack?
No, but I've got it hooked up in the box. It's screwed to the side of the wall out there. All I have to do is make up a pigtail to screw to the other side of the lightning arrestor and run it through the hole in the wall. And in fact, I've got a pigtail started. I just haven't cut it to length or anything yet.
Yeah.
I've got one end of it crimped on. Anyway,
I'm waiting for the first contact.
Well, that's going to be with you.
Okay. We can do that. We can do a test. What band we going to do it on?
20 meters.
All right.
Or whatever you want to do it on.
Okay.
As long as it's not 40 or something above or
something you don't have.
Yeah, or something below 10.
Yeah. Well, it has to be 10 through 20.
10 through 20. Yeah, any of those bands in there.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to make a close in contact on those bands.
Really?
Yeah. We might be able to, we'll just have to try some different bands to see which one's working for us. It would be nice if we could do it on 10 meters. We could for sure do it on 6, but you don't have a 6-meter antenna.
No.
And we could do it on 80.
But I don't have an 80-meter antenna.
No.
Yeah, when we were doing the Morse code class, there were 4 of us, and there were 2 like on the south, like down toward I-40, and then 2 of us up here toward the Kilpatrick, but we were split.
Yeah.
And it was really weird because Ken Sanborn and I, who are pretty much parallel with each other, he's over by Mercy and I'm out here in Piedmont. We could hear each other, but the guys down south could hear them, but we couldn't. I don't know what the deal was.
What band was you on, Sam?
10. We were trying to on 10. We were wanting to do practice code on the air.
That's what I mean. On 10 meters. You just don't know. Close in on some of them higher frequencies, you can't do it.
Yeah.
But we'll find a band. If we can't find a band, you'll just have to put up a 40-meter inverted V, and we'll do it on that band.
I was just listening to 20. There's a lot of traffic right now on 20.
Yeah, I worked a Z35T on 12 meters today. It's Macedonia.
Really?
Yeah.
That's over there, and that's near the thick of the fight over there.
Yes, it is.
Very near. In fact, the Macedonians are probably a little nervous.
Well, I worked Poland a day or 2 ago, and I've worked several stations over in there. Of course, I don't work any Russians, but I've worked a lot of stations over there. And this morning I heard Saudi Arabia on. I didn't work him. There was about 1,000 people trying to work him, and my small rig wouldn't do it. But
there's a bunch of FT8 on 12 meters right now.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of 12 meters. I've got 100 countries on 7 bands right now, and I need 5 more on 80 meters. And then I'm gonna go ahead and apply for that 5-band DXCC award. And then you can add on to that. So I'm gonna add the 3 WART bands onto that. So I'll have 8-band DXCC, but I got to get these 5 more on 80, and I'm having problems doing that. I've got 95 countries, and all the countries I hear are countries that I don't need. I did manage to work Ireland yesterday evening on 80 meters, but they're far few in between to find one that I haven't worked that I can work. And I've worked all of the easy stuff in South America and Caribbean. I've already got them in the log. So it's getting more difficult. And I should have done the 80-meter stuff this winter, because now springtime's coming, and the springtime thunderstorms bring the noise level up on 80 meters, making it that much harder. So I did it ass backwards.
Well, you'll get there.
Yeah, I may have to wait till next fall, but I'll keep working at it.
Chipping away.
Yeah.
Kind of like me putting together this antenna project of mine, chipping away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many months you been on that project now, Bill?
Well,
About 5 months or so.
Yeah, a little over 5 months, I guess.
Well,
I don't know exactly.
The COVID crap don't help, because harder to get parts.
Yeah, I actually got everything pretty much on order and got it shipped in here before things really got bad as far as supply was concerned. I understand that even DX Engineering doesn't have those hex beams available now. They must be having the same problem. Fiberglass.
Yeah.
Of all things.
So Sam, are you decoding stuff on 12 meters now?
No, no, actually, I'm just had my rig on. I was looking for see what was going on voice, but I can see down on that end of the
Oh,
spectrum.
Okay.
There's lots of. I ran over. There's a lot of FT8 going. Looks
Yeah.
like down there, but
Yeah,
I don't even have the software turned on right now. So I'm really wanting to. I have a problem when I plug my rig into this laptop that I'm on now. It doesn't know what to do. It's like it sees two sound cards and it messes with me. So
You're saying you can't do both things at once.
well, I've done it, but I don't know how I did it when I did it, but usually no. And I don't know if it's the order that I turn things on or, I don't know what I did that one time. There was one time when I got it to work, but I got this little computer. I picked this up at the Enid Ham Fest.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
For a really good deal, and I really want to, and actually I just bought a new monitor. Got a pretty good deal on a really nice Lenovo 27-inch monitor over here.
Yeah.
And I'm really wanting to hook that up to the monitor and put all my radio software on it.
Sure.
That way, this laptop will be for Zoom and I can be doing the radio on this monitor over here. I don't know if you can.
That's the best thing to do it, Sam. I've got
kind of see that dark image right there. That's my new monitor. I've got it on blur. So
I've got
anyway.
I've got 3 desktops here in this ham shack, and they're all 3 turned on and doing something right now. So it's best to have more than one computer, that's for sure.
Well, I want, I'm kind of figuring out what I want where, the laptop is where I want my software, like for programming my rigs and my vehicles, because I can grab it and, carry it out there and do that. And I'll do Zoom on it. And then, but for the rig, this little computer, I think is going to be really good. It's just better getting it set up.
Yeah.
And I just went through a real thing with my other laptop, which has all my business stuff and my personal stuff on it. And I needed to upgrade the hard drive. And I have never spent so many hours in my life dealing with something. I had a 250 gig in it. And I bought a 500 a while back and could not get it to clone. I mean,
oh, really?
Yeah. Huh. I mean, last week, Mark, when I was down at Elmer night, Mark gave me all sorts of tips. My son's been sending me all this stuff and couldn't.
Did you try formatting it first?
Yeah, I tried everything. I mean, I thought I'd tried everything. And then it was really weird. It had 4 partitions on it. The one in the computer had 4 partitions on it.
That's
and
crazy.
3 of them would clone and the 4th one wouldn't. And then I just kept redoing it. I was using this thing called Macrium.
What was the 4th partition? It could
have been. The 4th one is the 4th one is Panasonic's. They call it their OEM partition. It isn't very big, but it has the Panasonic software and drivers and everything on it.
They've got it protected.
So anyway, I got 3 of them to do, and finally, instead of reformatting it and starting over, I just did a second clone. This Macrium is actually set up where you can use it to back up your hard drive, so it will increment. It'll look at your hard drive and it'll only clone things that aren't already there. And about when I finally did that, it cloned that fourth partition. And then I swapped over, which is a real pain. I mean, I had the new one in this little cradle thing I've got that plugs into the USB. And I mean, maybe if I did this every day, this would have been simple, but the little cradle in the computer that holds the thing, it's a bear to get the old one out and the new one in. I mean, it's a 15-minute process to swap the hard drives. And because you got this little case you have to get open and all these plugs. And
so you cloned this new hard drive while it was outside the computer.
Yeah, it was outside.
Then you swapped it out.
Right. And then I couldn't get it to boot up. So I get it in the computer and it won't boot up. The computer keeps telling me it can't find the media, or something along those lines. So I had a rescue thumb drive that I'd put a rescue software on, and I did that. And there on the rescue software, it had this button said "Fix Boot issues or something. I hit that thing and poof, it started working. So, it's just,
Yeah, it's a struggle.
yeah. I mean, last time I did that, I just took one drive out, put the next drive in, turned the computer back on, and it booted right up. But this one just didn't want to play. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, it's up and running now, and I got twice the space I had. So,
Well, that's the nice thing about these desktops. If I need more space, I just add another hard drive in there.
yeah,
This computer here's got 5 hard drives in it.
I've got an old Gateway sitting over in my office that has 8 hard drives in it.
Oh, my word.
These computers, all 3 of these computers for the drive C, the one with the OS on it, have an M.2 drive. That's a little circuit board that plugs into the motherboard, and that is the hard drive.
Yeah, that's what I've got in my main system is
Yeah, I use
Those-
the M.2 drive for drive C on all of these hard drives, and they're solid state hard drives, and they really boot up fast.
boy, they
An
really do.
M.2 is that just a?
I guess that would be a style of circuit card that plugs in to a motherboard, and it lays down flat. It doesn't plug into a vertical socket on the motherboard. It lays down flat and plugs in. And all of the newer motherboards are made for that. As a matter of fact, my son built a new computer not too long ago, and the motherboard he's got has got 2 slots for M.2 drives. That wasn't available whenever I built these 3 computers here.
Mine has 2 slots in it, and I stuck another hard solid state drive in it. They are really fast. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you
If
can't
you
hardly.
copy from a solid state drive, M.2 drive to any solid state drive, that data transfers really quick.
Yeah.
It's almost difficult to go back to a different kind of drive. Now it'd be like going up to dial-up internet.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I had a couple of drives I took out of a computer that I gave to Mark. And anyway, I had these 2 spinning drives, that at the time were really fast. And anyway, but I've got a cassette I can put them in. So I hooked them in the other day and, through the USB just to see what was on them. And before I destroyed them, and oh my gosh, they were so slow.
Forever to boot up.
Just opening a folder
Yeah.
seemed like it took forever. Oh, got spoiled. But I still get aggravated with my computer how long it takes, even with the solid state drive, how long
Oh
it
yeah.
takes. But
We
I
want
forget.
more.
yeah, I want instant.
Whenever I first built these drives and first powered them up, man, they seem fast. And a week later it's just ho hum. Already used to the speed.
Yeah, I'm going. I thought computers were supposed to save time.
Yeah, right.
So, hey, Carl.
Good
Hey,
evening.
Carl. Hello, Mike.
Howdy.
Howdy, guys.
Hi, Mike.
Out there on WinLink.
Who's on WinLink?
Yeah, that's the question. Who's on WinLink?
Not me.
Yeah, me either. I've got it, but
I'm on Zoom, Mike.
Oh, well, I'm halfway there. I got WinLink installed. I got Vara installed. I just need to connect with somebody.
Hey, Carl,
Howdy.
you still want some?
Oh, that pipe.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that. And last night at 2:30 in the morning, I woke up and thought about it.
Oh, I'm
you
sorry.
should have
I'm
called
sorry.
him. Should have called him and said, "Can I come over?"
No, don't do that.
Yes. Yeah, I would like that. And I'm going to have to come up with a trailer.
Yeah, they're only 10 feet long, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I mean, they can be. I mean, a bunch of it's still glued together, but you could cut it at, at the joints. I mean, it wouldn't hurt anything. It just have to get,
Actually, you could cut it anywhere, however short you wanted it.
yeah, you could.
Just that many more couplers you got to buy to put it back together.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
couplers aren't cheap.
Yeah, my long trailer is full of solar panels.
Do you have a pickup?
Yes,
Do you have a receiver on it? A pitch receiver?
yes.
I've got an extender that plugs into that receiver and extends it on out about 5 or 6 feet, the bed of the pickup. It's I've used it to haul a lot of stuff, but 10-foot sections, I
You
don't
can
know.
haul them in your pickup.
Yeah, as long as you have some way to strap them down. How long is the bed on your truck? Is it one of the real short ones, or?
No, it's it's regular size. My trailer though is 22 feet. Yeah, I could probably go ahead and use it, and then I just have to strap down the pallets that are on it right now, but any pipe would go next to the pallets.
Well, I mean, there's no big rush. Stuff's just laying there. I might move it over out of the way, but
It won't rust.
no, it won't rust. It won't rust. It won't deteriorate. I did have actually one piece that I bought, one piece too many, that I may probably end up maybe taking it back to Lowe's. I don't know. It's hard whether it's worth it or not, but $20,
Roughly 27 bucks or something. It ought to be.
Well, it wasn't 27. It was 21.95, I think is what they were.
I was at Lowe's the other day, and just to make sure you weren't pulling my leg, I went over to the PVC, and they're 2-inch or $29, but they have the belled ends on them.
Oh yeah. Well, that's worth a couple of bucks.
Yeah, is that the gray ones? Sam, is that the gray ones?
Yeah, the electrical. Yeah.
Oh, those are more expensive anyway. The gray ones.
Yeah.
They're higher than the white PVC.
So do you use white or do you use?
I used white,
Oh, okay.
except for the turns. I used the gray long sweep turns, so that I didn't have to, fold the coax or bend the coax
Yeah.
Right.
too short a radius.
Didn't have to make such a sharp turn.
Right. Yeah. But the rest of it's all white. The white is cheaper. Not sure there's any difference in the white and the gray other than the color. There
Well,
may
I
be.
think I don't know why they do this, but the gray is UV resistant and the white is
Oh.
not, is what I've been
Okay.
told.
But
The
most
electrical is-
people put the electrical stuff underground anyway.
Yeah.
Now, I run the
Shoot.
gray stuff out to my Astro shed. I run the gray stuff out there. I think I've got a couple of white couplers on it though, on above ground, but it wouldn't make any difference to me whether it's white or gray. It's got a piece of Romax in it, so.
Yeah, I know when I used to do electrical work, the inspector won't let you use white if it's electrical.
That's right.
And if it's buried, I really don't see the difference, but except that's what the code says. So
Yeah.
no.
Well, if you're digging a trench and you run into gray, well, it's not as critical as if you are using a backhoe and run into one or a white, as compared to using a backhoe and you run into one that's gray electrical.
Right. You know it when you hit the white ones though, usually because the water just
Yeah.
You might even feel it when you hit the gray ones.
Oh, you feel it when you hit any of them. I used to do trenching, and you're up on a tractor, so you're pretty good shape. But
I'm talking electrical shock.
yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but you're up on a tractor, so you're not gonna, you're not grounded, so you don't feel anything. The ones that really scare you are the red ones, because that's what natural gas,
Yeah.
yellow and red. But that's also what they put, what Cox puts their cable in, is the same colors. So it's really hard to know for sure. I was I was doing a job over in Yukon one day, and I hit an orange pipe, and I felt it hit, and I looked back, and this chunk of orange pipe comes up out of the ground with the dirt. I went, oh no. And it turns out it was a Cox line. But I put my cigarette out. I smoked back in those days. I put my cigarette out real quick and turned off the tractor so I could hear if it was hissing.
Was it one of their big feeder lines, or was it just a?
Well, I'll tell you, it was the line that fed the cable at a retirement home.
Oh,
And I found out 15 minutes later, when this whole line of people on their walkers came out to see why the Lawrence
Yeah,
Welk went off.
Man, Sam, your name is Mud.
Yeah, I was, and I
I did
also it took Cox, immediately called Cox, and it took them 3 days to get somebody out there to fix it. And,
really?
yeah.
Huh.
And then the guy that came out, I was still out there working. The guy that came out, I said, they didn't flag it. I'd flagged for all, I'd called and they flagged all this stuff. And he goes, no, the company policy is it's cheaper to fix things than it is to flag every time somebody wants to dig.
That might be true, but
That was a few years back, but it sure didn't make those people in that retirement center very happy.
No, yeah, especially 3 days. That's kind of bad business to
Yeah.
leave it down for 3 days.
Well, I guess that's.
I don't think it would be cheaper if it was a fiber optic line.
I don't
Yeah,
remember what was. I don't even
Fiber
remember now
would
what was.
probably be easier to splash than the coax would actually.
You
I
think?
can't remember.
Yeah, I think it would be. The splashing the coax, of course they've got kits to do that. I cut one time years and years ago when I was putting in a sprinkler system up at our house in Oklahoma City. And I had the ditcher rented up for the weekend and got up Sunday morning bleary-eyed and went out there, and first thing I did was saw through the cable. And one of the neighbors came down pretty quick to let me know that he wasn't happy with what I had done. So I had a little piece of RG59 or something, and I just spliced it in there and soldered it and turned them back on. But the Cox showed up pretty quick. Within a few hours, they were out there and working on it and fixed it. Since
Well, I will say this was 20 years ago. Gosh, I just got a text from Cox. Do you think they're hearing me since I'm on Cox Internet?
Yeah, your name is Mud.
I need to look and see what this text is. See what this anyway. But yeah, it was 20 years.
If you got your phone sitting next to you, yeah, it's probably listening to everything that is said, and possibly even has the camera going sometimes. That's the new deal. What do they call it? The new program that they just loaded into all the smartphones, Sidewalk, where it connects everybody's internet with everybody else's internet, and it any device that has an internet is capable of transmitting, like your phone would send a signal to your internet connection. If you were walking by your neighbor's house, it would connect to your neighbor's internet, and it does this without notifying you. And it's, unless you turn it off, it was installed on pretty much every device that's capable of doing it, like 6 months ago. I think it's called Sidewalk.
And who's installing that? You mean, is it like an Android thing or?
Is it an upgrade or what? I mean, if you have an existing
Yeah,
device.
I think it's Microsoft.
So if it's an existing device.
No, of
say there's
course, my
that
cell
might
phone
be-
does that anyway, but if I've got Wi-Fi turned on, it's going to try to connect to anything that isn't secured. But
Yeah.
the other day I was at the doctor's office and I pulled my phone out to look at something and it said the Wi-Fi was connected and I couldn't get any internet. And I realized that I hadn't gone in and, you got to open a browser and tell it who you are and stuff, or it won't let you. So anyway, I just turned the Wi-Fi off and it worked fine.
Carl, did you put your hex beam together yourself?
Yeah, but it's store-bought. It's a KIO hex beam.
Yeah, mine's a store-bought too, but it's a little tricky getting when you're pulling those up into a bow and trying to get all those exactly the same length and the same height and get the strings. I mean, the elements parallel to one another. Especially when you're if you don't have enough flat surface to work on, which I was out in the backyard, which slopes off some, and took a little finagling to get till I was satisfied that I had everything strung up correctly.
Is yours a KIO also?
No, it's a DX Engineering
Oh, yeah,
KIO.
that's
I couldn't get one. I called him and talked to him, and he said he couldn't get fiberglass and didn't know when he was going to be able to get any. So I could get one from DX Engineering, and I must have got some of the last ones that DX Engineering had because they're out too now. He couldn't get fiberglass tubing. And
Did you paint your spreaders?
did I paint them? No.
Yes. Yeah, if you don't have it up, that's probably a good thing to do, to shoot a coat of paint on them, and so that they won't deteriorate in the Oklahoma sun.
What, try to block the UV?
Yeah. Yeah, and you can pretty much use any paint on them, but an outdoor paint is better. I just used Krylon on mine, and as far as I can tell, it's no problem with them. It's been, let's see, five years.
You been on the air lately, Carl?
No, I haven't. Matter of fact, I wasn't even on the air for the net. The VHF net this morning. Had to take my mother to the doctor's office for a checkup.
Looks kind of quiet at the fire station.
Yeah.
They've got us muted.
You never know. I drove down there last week and you spent the whole time talking to you guys. So
Yeah,
I said, I'm not burning the gas this time.
that's what I told you. You could do that at home.
Yeah.
Not for $4 a gallon or whatever it's going for these days.
Yeah, that's what it was the last time I seen it.
Yeah, I think that's what I paid.
$3.95 a gallon.
I think I got the no alcohol, and I think I paid 4.19 or 4.29 or something like that. I don't know. It was over $4 a gallon for
Yeah.
the.
This was that real gas too. No
I think I
alcohol.
just paid 427 today at OnQ for real gas. I don't do ethanol if I can help it.
I don't do ethanol.
I don't either in
So I
anything.
was corresponding with fellow Ham, and we were supposed to have lunch tomorrow. And I said, I wondered, if I think about riding my bicycle, which is really a joke since I haven't ridden a bicycle in years. But anyway, he said I should just sell one of my radios, and that way I
You
could
buy gas.
buy gas. And I said, blasphemy, blasphemy. I'm not starving. Sell a radio. Come on.
Or get an electric bike and solar panels.
You don't wonder what the range on. I really, we go camping. I see a lot of those electric bikes, and they look pretty cool, but they're
They're not
heavy.
cheap. They're pretty
Yeah.
expensive.
That is true. That I've got a couple of them, and they're about 50 pounds. Well, one of them's 50 pounds, and the other is 32 pounds.
Yeah, that's heavy for a
So-
bicycle these days. Some of the, especially those racing bikes, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My nephew is a bike racer, and those things, he buys a new one every year. And I think like last one I heard, it was 10 grand for the bike.
Yeah.
And they don't
Wow.
weigh anything. I mean, you can pick them up, essentially just wrap one finger around them and pick them up. They
Imagine it's
hardly-
it's the batteries on those, isn't it, Carl?
Yes.
Probably the bulk of it.
Yeah. The batteries are what's heavy, and the motors. Well, I guess that's the heaviest is the battery, and then you've got the motor, and then just the frame on the bike. They usually have. It's not a real lightweight frame.
Right.
So what's the price on electric bike nowadays?
Let's say $1,000.
Well, yeah, anything from 1,000 up to 5,000-6,000.
Buy a lot of gas for that.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the bikes around here are $1,500, give or take a couple $100.
Yeah, I was saying we were in the Wichita Mountains last year, and the couple next to us had those, and I looked them up at the time, the brand that they had, because they really they had matching bikes and brand they had. But I was thinking $1,200 is what they ran then, but that was a year or more ago. So
Yeah,
And,
it depends on
and-
whether, what brand it is. And
and then I watched him trying to get those into his trailer had a cargo area. He had a fifth wheel, had a cargo area that wasn't about 2 feet above the ground, but
Yeah.
trying to get those things in there when they got ready to leave. But looked pretty fun. I mean, it looked pretty nice, running around up there, but
Yeah, they don't make any noise either. That's nice.
no.
Yeah, I've been a bicycle rider all my life, and I usually try to have some of the nicer end bicycles. And my wife, because of her medical problems, I ended up getting a electric bike when I was buying a carbon fiber bike for myself. Well, I got her an electric bike so that she'd be able to keep up with me. And not only could she keep up with me, even though she would be pedaling also, she could go further distance and faster, supplemented by the electric motor. So she liked it so much that anyway, I tried her bike and I liked it. In order to be able to keep up with her, I had to get another one so that I could keep up with her riding. And it works out real well because she can ride the bike without the motor. And then if she needs to, if she gets tired, she can always turn the motor on and able to get back to the house.
I'm afraid I'd have the motor on all the time.
Yeah, me too.
Hey,
Well, I
Sam,
remember we were there at Wichita Mountains, and we ran into this couple like a few miles down the road at one of the scenic things, looking at the buffalo or something. And anyway, they were on their bikes. We stood there and talked to them, and they took off on their bikes, and we got in the car. And by the time we got in the car, they were nowhere to be found. I mean, they were gone. And we headed back to the campground, and they were already sitting around at the. I mean, I don't know how fast those things went, but they-
whenever you was in Yellowstone, did you see any bikes there this year? Or
no,
last year?
no, I don't remember seeing any bicycles at all.
I can't remember if it's illegal or not because we went up there several years in a row and I don't remember ever seeing a bike in there.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe they're afraid for people to be out on a bike, with no protection in case there's a bear attack or something, and
I'd be more afraid of the drivers running over me.
And see, that's what I was going to say is I think the roads there are pretty narrow, and
Yeah, they're 2-lane
You know,
roads.
yeah, they're
Oh,
two
yeah.
lane and they're not wide 2-lane, in most cases. And so yeah, I would I'd be afraid to ride a bike there, honestly.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid to ride one here. It's
yeah, I don't know if you remember it, Ken, but there was a guy that worked in the machine shop over in Building 5 that rode a bike to work every morning, and he didn't show up for work one morning, and he got hit at an intersection and killed
Wow.
riding to
No,
work.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, sad deal. Good guy.
yeah, people here, my son went to college and got went his upper degrees at UMass, and up there people really respect bikes. There's a lot of bicycles and people respect them, and not at all like here. it's really like the opposite. But
Very few people know the bicycle laws in Oklahoma. It's it's a shame.
well, even the places where there are these big signs that say bicycles are allowed full lane or whatever they say, I see people, if they can miss the bike, then they've done okay. If they give them 6 inches of clearance from the mirror, then they don't really even try to give them the full lane. I see that all the time, especially out on the northeast side of town up there in Britton Road and out that way. It's kind of scary out there watching and a lot of people like to bike out there because there's not a lot of traffic or stop signs. You don't have to stop every mile or so. So
Yeah, the
But,
law is 3 feet between any part of the vehicle and any part of the bicycle. And sometimes that, even 3 feet, if somebody's passing you with 20 or 30 mile an hour difference between the speeds, that's even 3 feet is too close.
I think so too.
That's why they came up with the bikes may use full lane, is because a lot of times that the bicyclist would be on close to the shoulder of the road, as close as they can get, and of course all the trash gets washed over to the edge of the road, especially if there's a curb. And so you've got about 1 to 2 feet over there that's got all the stickers and glass and rocks and whatnot. And so if there are some people that think that it was the proper way to pass somebody on a bicycle is to stay in their lane, stay on the inside of the double yellows stripe in the middle of the road and pass that way. And then they get mad at the bicycle riders. Well, it's legal to go out the double yellow lines to pass a slower vehicle like a bicyclist. Specifically with a bicycle. But a lot of people don't know that. And of course, you have to be safe doing that, because if they don't go outside those yellow lines, well, then a lot of times they hit the bicyclist.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't
And
realize.
and
No,
that's
I just
they-
slow down and follow them. You know, if it's a no passing zone, it's a no passing zone in my mind, and I'm not crossing that double yellow. We get
yeah,
till we get
well,
to the top of
it-
the hill or wherever.
yeah, now they put the signs out that bicycles can use the full lane. That's so that the bicyclists can go over to the middle of the lane, and that will force the cars to pass them wider. Otherwise, they try to scoot in between the bike and the yellow lines. And yeah, the law is that you can go over the double line in the middle of the road to pass a bicycle when it's safe.
Did not know that.
Yeah, and I'll just say that when it's safe is a matter of judgment. And my experience with the police in this state, I'm not doing it.
And in the last year, they just passed another law that bicyclists do not have to stop at stop signs. You can actually, when it's safe to go through the intersection, you can, do the California stop, whatever you want to call it, and just slow down through the stop signs. And hardly anybody knows that law. They just passed it within the last year.
Well, that's what my subdivision's like. It doesn't matter whether you're in a semi or a UPS truck. Stop. We don't have to stop.
Pause.
It's only for bicycles.
Yeah. Well, I'm in an HOA controlled. The roads here are HOA our property, and so nobody can write a ticket. The only thing that a deputy sheriff or a city policeman can write you a ticket for on our roads is reckless driving. You can be going 80 miles an hour in a 25 and blow through the stop signs, and they can't write you for that. They can write you for reckless driving, which
That sounds like reckless driving.
yeah,
That's
that
what I
probably
was thinking.
qualifies. But
Sounds pretty reckless.
people hardly slow down at the stop signs. It's I'm waiting for some kid to get on a bicycle to get hit or something like that. But been out here 20 years. My knowledge, nobody's ever been run over.
Are your street signs the same as the city street signs as far as like the names of the streets and the stop signs?
I don't know. I mean, we have street signs, but we're not under the city. We maintain our own roads, and they're private property.
Okay,
belong to a homeowners
because
association.
If they have street signs named streets, they're considered city streets if they have the city street signs on them, and they're actually on the named streets. I think that's the way that the law is written.
Well, the city is dumping streets. I heard the other day some people that live over like in Ski Island, know where that is.
Yeah.
The city went in and replaced all the city street signs with some other kind of signs that aren't the official city signs, and said, now the roads are yours, guys. We're not maintaining your roads anymore. They're basically de-annexing, you might say, de-annexing these roads and giving them back to because they don't want to have to maintain them.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, dedicated street is the way that law is written. It's a dedicated street. I used to ride motorcycles back before Ski Island was built. I used to ride dirt bikes in that area when it was just fields.
We talked to the city. This was 15, 20 years ago when I first moved out here. They talked to the city about taking over our streets out here, and the city said, sure, we'll take your streets, but they've got to be cement. They've got to have curbs. You got to have sidewalk on at least one side of them. I mean, it was going to cost, I think they priced it was going to be $10 million or something to bring our streets up to the standard to where the city would actually take them. So we just said, Raised our homeowners dues, and I wouldn't be the road chairman for anything in the world. But anyway, that's
And I'm the I'm the road chairman out here, and the
I'm sorry.
HA, the homeowners president, and but we have a very small association out here. There's only about 6 or 7 of us in the whole thing, so
In the
nobody else,
association. You mean
nobody
the-
else wants to do it.
Never mind. There's a little place out here north of Piedmont. There's 6 houses in the whole subdivision, and there are 4 officers in the HOA. So only, 2 of the people aren't on the board, you might say, that live out there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's interesting, Bill, because usually HOAs, there's a problem with the antennas. And I guess since you're the president, I guess that's not a problem out in your HOA, is it?
Well, there's nothing in our covenants about antennas at all.
there's not mine either. I was really surprised. Really surprised. I can't have a trellis, but I can have an antenna. So
Ours
say-
are,
Did you say trellis or trailer?
trellis. Can't have a trellis. So,
We can't have any livestock on our property
at all.
at all.
Yeah, you can have horses out here, and you can, I guess you could have a cow or 2. I don't know. These are all 10 acre lots. So
Yeah.
it's not too restrictive. It just says no obnoxious animals, and I assume that's like pigs or
Pigs.
something that would
You
stink.
don't
up
want
the
any
place.
pigs.
Right.
Roosters.
Yeah, or roosters. Yeah, crowing at 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 or whatever. I was trying to figure out why my Zoom camera picture was so dim, and it just occurred to me that it's due to daylight savings time. I have a window behind me with a blind on it, but the light shining through there a lot brighter than it has been. Usually by 6:30, it was getting pretty dark, and
so you read today that the U.S. Senate passed a bill to keep daylight savings time all year long.
Great.
Now, if the House will just agree with that,
That would be, I would love that.
Yeah.
Who did that?
the U.S. Senate passed the bill today. Now it goes to the House. Then, of course, Biden has to find an ink pen. But
Well, I hope they get that. I hope they get that passed.
know,
I have trouble adjusting my sleeping. Like
Oh, yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
slept well ever since we went on daylight savings time. I still am not adjusted to it, but it's hadn't been that long, but obviously,
so, no, I think that's going to be a good thing, and just for the stability of the whole thing,
yeah.
stay on it.
Now,
Isn't
wait a
there-
minute. Arizona is not on, Arizona, Alaska, and a couple more are not on daylight savings time.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
never figured out how they could do that. I thought it was like a federal law, but somehow
No.
they
No,
don't.
and my point is, if they're not on daylight savings time, they're gonna pass a law that everybody's gonna be on daylight savings time. That means they're gonna have to change.
Well, there's a
Yeah.
law now that that says when you go on it. And, they changed the dates a few years ago. Congress voted to change the dates that we transitioned, and so there's apparently
Yeah.
a law already. They just ignore it. But I guess I don't know.
Arizona has never been on, and Hawaii has never been on, and Alaska and a few more states. I don't remember what they are, but
Well, I don't care what they do as long as as long as we
think-
get we do
well,
it.
I want it to be consistent. Just back and forth crap's what I don't like.
So
One or the other.
Well,
Yeah,
I got on amateur contact log and logbook of the world.
All right.
Got the software loaded.
Mhm.
Apparently ARL has to send you a postcard on
For
Logbook of the World.
Yeah,
For
it's got a little code
PTSA.
on there.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Ken, I talked.
But it has to come by mail. They
Yeah.
won't send it to you by email.
that's right.
Yep.
They have to mail it to you.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess
I
that's
got
just,
mine in like 2 days. I mean, it wasn't a big deal.
yeah.
Well,
I'm
once you
sure,
get
I'm
it
sure
set
that'll
up,
be here before I'm finished. So
once
the
you
rate
get
I'm
it
going.
set up, after you get it set up, Bill, you can upload those contacts through your logging program.
The contact log.
Yeah, you don't have to use that little program that they supply. You can do it with the contact log, but you still have to have the TQSL card for verification. But once you get that all set up, then you log a contact in your logging program, your AC log, and then you can upload it from that to Logbook of the World.
Okay.
And when the other guy uploads to Logbook of the World, then you have a verified contact.
Okay.
And I've been going through some of my old QSL cards, and I found I can't remember how many countries, a lot of countries that are not on Logbook of the World. All of these are countries that's not on Logbook of the World, and they are really hard to get countries. So I'm going to try to get these, go through the process to go to a card checker and all that garbage and try to get these things added to what I already have. And that'll give me about 20 or so more really hard to get countries in Africa and places like that. St. Helena's Island, that's another really difficult one to get. And I've got China and all over Vietnam and places like that that difficult to get. So that'll help toward the total. And I've got I can't remember now, about 250 or 60 countries, and this should bring it up to about 280 or so.
So I was going, I only have I won't say it even 50%, but of the contacts I put in mine, only about 60% have also entered. So I don't get.
Well, it's getting to be more and more now. Whenever I look back on my log, and around 2001 or 2000, maybe even 2019, I did a lot of contacts, and very few of those, the other end didn't upload to Logbook of the World. So man, I've got pages after pages there in this AC contact logging program where they didn't do it. And when I get up into about 2021, they start really adding up. So, and recently, almost everybody's doing it, except on 80 meters, which I need 5 more to have 100 contacts. I've got 5 contacts with countries that are pretty close in, Trinidad, places like that. And there's 5 of them that I've made this year, and them suckers haven't uploaded. They say they're on Logbook of the World, but they're not participating.
Maybe they want you to send them
Yeah,
$20 or something.
yeah. That's the way that Mount St. Helens, I've seen that guy on a few times, and I didn't try to work him because whenever I see one on, the program tells me if they're on Logbook of the World or not. And if they're not on Logbook of the World, I don't work them. And so I also have another window open with QRZ on it. So the program, you can right click and click a line to tell it to look this up in QRZ.com. So I can immediately pull it up, and then I can scroll down and see if they participate in the logbook of the world or not, just to make sure that they do. But Mike, you might know this, but on JT Alert, that little window that has their call sign in it, on the left side of that, there's a vertical line, vertical bar that tells you if they're on logbook of the world or not. And I don't think you have that set up on yours, because at one time I noticed that, and I've been meaning to mention it to you. So you might check that out, because there may be people out there that won't work you because you don't have logbook of the world.
You're saying I don't have it checked on QRZ?
No, on your JT Alert program.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When your call sign pops up on JT Alert,
Uh-huh.
it doesn't show that you're set up for logbook of the world. So you might look at that. I don't know about other people, but if they don't do logbook of the world, I've done so many QSL cards, I'm tired of doing that. And I'm not going to spend my time to try to work some hard to get station if they're not going to do logbook of the world.
Yeah. Well, I may have missed that on the setup for,
Yeah, and I don't remember where it's at, but you might check it out.
Well, I'm gonna jump back to daylight savings time. I just found the article in the New York Times, and it doesn't go into effect till 2023 if it passes in the.
well,
So we still got one more fall forward.
they, they
Fall
have to
back.
they have to give all the snowflakes time to adjust.
Well, it's New York Times has said a groggy Senate passed the bill with no debate, and it was unanimous. I guess they're all sleep deprived because of the time change. So, but not so sure it's going to pass the House. Got to get past Miss Nancy. So, anyway, it would just make too much sense for the House to agree to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got the logging program and logbook of the world set up. That's going to be very beneficial to you.
Yeah, I've got them downloaded. I haven't gone in and, played around with them or done anything with them, but I don't have anything to log. So,
Well, you can just log me in there and to practice, and you can delete it. You can delete the entry.
oh, okay.
Well, the one thing that wasn't clear to me, is that you log UTC as the time.
Why would that not be clear?
Well, when I first got my license and I got the logging thing, it didn't say anything on there, but it says time, time of contact. So I was logging the time, 10 o'clock in the morning, and
that's okay if you're working somebody in your time zone, but if you're working station in Europe and you put down 10 o'clock, it's not 10 o'clock where he's at.
right. Well, part of it is I didn't understand that the software does not do that for you, that it expects you to put in UTC, and I think that's why some of my contacts didn't.
You mean on the ACE amateur contact log?
Yeah.
You set that up in the beginning, and whenever you type in a call sign and hit enter, it automatically logs it in UTC. There's a top. Well, let me.
Yeah, and I see somehow I didn't have that right, and I was putting in local time, and maybe I didn't have it set up right. I don't know.
Put the time in.
But I figured out after a little while that that's why some of my contacts weren't verifying in Logbook of the World, is because
They'll do it.
we were doing different times.
Mhm.
It wants to see, I don't know what it's got to have some leeway in minutes, but certainly not in hours.
Yeah.
Did you go back in and adjust, edit it and adjust the time and so that
I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Once I figured out what was going on, I did. I went back. But
That's
that
a
was
pretty
my,
slick program. I really like it.
oh, me too. Me too. I like it a lot. But, and I like the way it integrates with other things, you know. So,
Oh, I opened it up and it just told me that there's a new country list. I don't know if I want to download it. And I did.
I was really surprised how many countries have changed their names and
Yeah.
how many have gone and come in and gone out.
Yeah. I've got several contacts on several bands with Yugoslavia, which is no longer a country. Means I lost those contacts. Oh, here's one. Look at this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
JC1.
Yep.
That's Mongolia, which is
Wow.
now Miramar. And I seen that guy that was on the air the other day, 2 or 3 days ago, and I knew I recognized the call sign. So I was going through all of my QSL cards and I found this sucker, and the date on it is February the 15th, 2002. That's 20 years ago.
Yeah, time marches on, doesn't it?
I looked him up on QRZ and he looks 20 years older now.
And don't we all?
Yeah,
Those are all grandfathered in, aren't they?
I guess so. I don't know. Some countries are not, but well, like Yugoslavia doesn't exist anymore, and some of the islands have been changed, and I've lost QSOs there. So
Yeah, I thought I was reading the other day that at least on Logbook of the World that those didn't go away, that you couldn't enter them now, of course, but that they still showed up in your history
yeah,
of your legitimate contacts.
they show up. Some of them show up, but they're not used as legitimate contact.
Huh.
And I can't remember, some of those islands in the Caribbean, changed. They redecided what was a legal entity, distance between them and all that. They had some of them lumped together that they separated, and some of them that were separated that they lumped together, and it screwed up a bunch of stuff there on the Caribbeans. And, like Hawaii and Alaska, they count as a state and a country. So when you get Hawaii and Alaska, you just got a state for your Warsaw states and a country for your DXCC.
really?
Huh.
And you got another, you got Oceania in your continents.
I don't know if I'll ever be. I was just looking at my log. I talked to Canada and Mexico, and everything else has been in the U.S.
I'm sorry.
Haven't gotten off the continent, but twice. Well, haven't gotten off the continent, I guess, really. But
Are you talking about 2 meters?
no, I'm talking about HF, FT8, and voice both. I was just
Well,
looking
you
at
better
my.
get busy, Sam.
Yeah, I know it.
My gosh, what kind of antenna are you running?
Oh, I'm running an in-fed half wave.
There you go.
Okay.
I know what, you know.
I bet it's pointed north and south, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That explains a lot.
I mean, I'm getting close to worked all states on FT8, but there's a
Good.
couple I just can't I can't quite snag. You know, don't have. I think.
What do you need? What do you need, Sam?
Oh, I'd have to go back and look now. I already closed it, but I mean, like Delaware, I know I don't have, and there's several up there in the Northeast that I don't have. You know.
Yeah, Rhode Island is usually a tough one.
Yeah. I mean, they're small and they probably just don't have many hams, and you
Yeah.
know, timing is everything.
Well, it's hard to get Rhode Island on 630 meters because the state's not big enough for an antenna.
Hmm.
Shouldn't have said that when I was drinking. You almost killed me there.
You know, when I was trying to get worked all states on ARRL or Logbook of the World, I couldn't get Arkansas. It took me 5 years to get
Yeah.
Arkansas, and I made
The close in ones sometimes are hard to get.
several contacts in Arkansas, but none of them were on Logbook of the World. And there was except for a couple of them. There were a couple of them that were on Logbook of the World, but for some reason they couldn't confirm the contact. And on one of them, he finally confirmed the contact. I talked to him 3 or 4 times, and he kept entering it, but he didn't have his state listed in Logbook of the World. He had all the other information, but for some reason he had left the state in the location blank. And he had his address, but he didn't have his state entered. And so he eventually, I talked to him, just emailed back and forth for a while. And I kept telling him that, you know, that it wasn't confirming. And I finally figured out that he didn't have his state listed. And I told him that. And it took him about a year, but then he finally added that to Logbook of the World and finally made a contact in Arkansas. And surprisingly, within 2 days, that was within 2 days of a legitimate contact in Arkansas that I finally got after 4 years. And then the first guy that I talked to several times updated it, and I got a contact with him too.
Well, the nice thing about this logging program is you can pick a country on the far right hand side. It's got a drop down window, and you can enter a country there and then click search, and it will bring up all the contacts you made in that country.
Right.
And so here I am looking for 5 more contacts on 80 meters. So with this logging program, I could do that. And I seen in there that I've worked Trinidad 11 times on 80 meters, and not a single one of them have confirmed. I've got it on other bands, but not 80 meters.
Hmm.
Okay, Ken. So help me. I've got my logging program opened again. The
Okay.
amateur contact log, and over on the right at the bottom it says country.
Yeah. See that
So
little
I-
down arrow?
I'm sorry.
See the little down arrow?
Yeah.
Click on that and then pick a country.
Okay.
Click
So
on it.
I picked Mexico because I know pretty sure I've got a Mexico.
Okay.
Let me double
And
check.
then go up to the top of the screen, up there where it says search. Click on that.
Okay, search. Oh, okay. Okay. That's what I was trying. I couldn't get it to. I put Mexico in, but I couldn't get it to search.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to get it to search.
And
Okay.
then if you want to refine the search, you can go down to those other places like date, call, mode, all that stuff, or
Right.
band. You can put, click on a particular band and then go back up and hit search again, and it'll find it for you.
So how do I clear?
There's a clear button up there at the top, to the left of the search button, a couple.
Oh, wow. I really haven't played with this enough. There's lots of things here.
It's a cool program, I'm telling you.
Well, I just like it. So is it like cool to like email people that haven't logged and say, what's your problem? I mean, nice
Why not?
numbers.
I mean, what do you got to lose?
I do.
Well, it sounded like it. I'd never thought of that, that.
And another thing, up there at the top next to search is called awards. See that?
Right.
Click on the awards and then pick states and countries.
Yep.
And then go over there to the left where it says band
Right.
and pick a band, whatever band you want
Let's
look
see.
at. And then click that calculate button and it will show all the countries, the counties, and up at the top,
Wow.
states
Wow.
work, states remaining, countries remaining, all kinds of stuff.
Wow. I've got 34 states. I'm missing 16. I didn't, I've just done it manually. I didn't realize it was so easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got, Nebraska, darn it.
That's one.
So is it legal if one of you guys drives up to Nebraska and we make?
Yeah, no, it would be legal. We'd still make the contact. You just have to pay me a lot of money to go to Nebraska.
Oh, I don't know. I'll tell you what, there's a steak place in Lincoln that rivals
Yeah.
any I've ever been in.
Yeah,
I'd buy you a steak,
I've been to Lincoln, Nebraska.
but then I'd want to be there with you. So that is really cool. I'd never played with a lot of this stuff. That is really neat. Let's see.
And there's also a button up there that says a check mark, QSL received. And there's a list only valid entities. So,
Right.
So if you uncheck that and then do search again or calculate again, you can see how many countries that they've deleted from the contacts that you've made, because the score will be different down there where it says where the countries you worked and the countries remaining, that'll be different. So you want to keep that checked, both of those checked, because what I'm interested in is seeing how many contacts I've got in these countries to try to get to 100.
So what's the difference between QSL received and lists only? QSL received, I mean, they've also logged it, right?
Yeah, that's a confirmed contact.
Okay, so what makes it a valid entry?
Okay, like we were talking about a while ago, some of these countries have been deleted,
Oh, okay.
so they don't count. So keep that checked, so you'll have the correct number that you're going to be awarded when you get ready to get a certificate.
Well, the QSL received just took me from 28 worked to 22 worked.
There you go. So, but that tells you how many you've got confirmed and how many you need to go.
Right. That is really neat.
And you can go to any band.
Yeah, any mode. I mean, I see that.
Yeah, and up at the top, if you go to band and scroll up, there's a blank up there. You can do the blank and then do calculate, and it will tell you all bands in the countries. I guess the states too. I don't know. I've got. In other words, if on the band, if you do not put a band in there,
Right.
and then tell it to calculate it, it'll show all bands.
Now, to get worked all states with the ARRL, do they have to be on the same band or in the same mode or
No,
both?
it can be mixed. You can get
Okay.
worked all states on a mixed certificate, and then you can go back and get them individually if you want to.
So I'm at 26 when I take out all the criteria up there. So
Well, now, is that with no band or,
that's with no band and no mode. And
okay, good,
Just-
yeah.
but I do have QSL checked. That wasn't originally checked. QSL received. So, but
So very, very good program. Easy to operate.
yeah, no kidding. Once you figure out where to go on this thing, it's
You just got to play with it. Click them buttons. and
yeah.
And which program is that?
That's,
Yep. Go ahead.
that's, it. That's contact log. Amateur
N3
contact,
N3 FJP's amateur contact log.
right. That's what Mike's using. You got it running, Mike?
I've been using it for quite a while, probably 2 weeks.
Good.
Now, what were you saying about the QSL sent and received?
Under awards, at the top, click on awards
Uh-huh.
and then click on states or countries or whatever. And there's underneath the box, it's got power. It says QSL received.
Oh,
You need to check that. And then check the other box, which lists only valid entities.
Yeah.
And then you can go up there and get a no band and click calculate. It'll tell you how many you've worked in countries and states. So I've got 248 countries confirmed and 92 unconfirmed. And I've got about 30 more cards that I'm gonna submit to add to that. So that'll put me up to about 280.
well, it shows I've worked 3 states and
You've
2
worked-
continents.
You've worked more than 3 states, haven't you?
Not that I got QSLs for
Oh,
on this program, evidently.
well, do you have this connected to your logbook of the world?
Probably not.
Right,
That may be my problem.
up there where it says awards, right next to it,
Uh-huh.
says EQSL,
E-logs.
E-logs, and go down and click on logbook of the world.
Ah,
And right there's where you set it up.
okay.
Upload your logs to logbook of the world, and then you can download the confirmed ones, and it'll bring your log up to date.
You know, I was playing with that when I first got it, and I ended up doubling my count because I downloaded it from QRZ, and then I downloaded it from Logbook of the World. And QRZ automatically was uploading to Logbook of the World. So I basically had to go through it and delete all the duplicates.
You know, there's I don't remember how you can do it, but there's a way that you can go in there and just tell it to automatically delete your duplicates.
Yeah.
Do it all at one time.
And that is over there on file. I think it's under file, top left-hand corner, somewhere over there, or maybe under edit, one of those 2 places. You can delete duplicates. There it is, remove duplicates. It's under file, about halfway down.
Damn, what I just did. Bill will be asking us questions about this before long.
Yeah, it's kind of a master's class tonight in the logbook of the world,
Yeah, that's good though.
AC log.
I've been using it for 3 years and just learned a ton. I mean, it's never noticed all that.
I've only been using it a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah.
I finally broke down and got rid of that old program I was using.
You're serious? You've only been,
Yeah,
That's a AC log you're talking about?
yeah. I was using a program called WinLog. It was a freebie. I've been using it since 2000, somewhere around 2000. And this is a lot more easier to use. Plus, it didn't interface with Logbook of the World, and this one does,
right.
which makes it much easier to keep track of your contacts. Keeping track of your contacts with QSL cards is a nightmare.
I just like to have some QSL cards. I've received one and actually I've received two. There was a guy when we went out of Yellowstone on the north. I can't remember that little town just outside the park up on the north.
Is it Mammoth?
Oh, yeah, I think it is Mammoth. And anyway, we went up there to get some ice. I was sitting in like a 7-Eleven thing and went in to get some ice, and I came out and there's a guy standing by my truck, and
Yeah.
I'm like, "What are you doing? You know, what's up, dude?"
Making
He
your
goes,
rig out of.
he goes, "Well," he says, "Are you a ham?" And I said, "Yeah." And anyway, he was the president of the Mammoth Ham Radio Club. So
How
anyway,
about
he
that?
and I chatted for a little while, and he mailed me a QSL card for our QSO standing in the parking lot.
It was an eyeball QSO.
Yeah, it was one of those. So that's my second QSL card, but
I got gobs of them.
I got
Yeah.
some printed that.
I had a whole stack of QSL cards from back in the 60s that I finally threw away here about 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah, don't you wish you had them now?
Yeah, I do. Kind of interesting, but I had them all tied up in a bundle and I carried them around for years. I just couldn't bring myself to throw them away, and I finally did.
Boy, did everybody leave the fire station?
Well, I don't see any
Speaking
movement
of,
down there.
Speaking of leaving, I'm gonna be ready here for the net here in a few minutes. Enjoyed it, guys.
Yeah, Mike, take care.
All right.
Okay. All right, Mike. See you later.
Stay dry up there in Piedmont. Don't let the streets flood.
Thank you, Mike.
All right.
Us talking about that reminded me of some more cards that I had that I'm gonna have to look through. And these are old cards. I mean, here's one from Canada that I worked, and I was a kid when I worked that.
So that last year?
Yeah. Crap, the date's not there. August 8th, 1961.
Wow.
Oh, I have to go through these too. I might have some countries here. Oh, here's one of my old QSL cards.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is gonna be fun. I have a feeling a lot of them's gonna be stateside stuff.
Let me ask a quick question. After I've got all my coax strung, I've got about an extra probably 8 feet, maybe 10 feet. And right now I've got it at the base of the tower, and I was thinking about just making 2 loops there around the base, at the base of the tower. Is there any reason I shouldn't do that?
No, that's okay.
I don't want to cut it off because if I cut it off and then I need to re-terminate it for some reason,
Yeah,
it's too short.
yeah, I wouldn't cut it off.
Okay,
I just like, even in my vehicle installs, I just go make as big a loop as I can. I don't want to make a little tight. I don't want to make a coil. I mean,
Oh.
tight coil. So I try to, whatever space I've got, I make my loops.
See that?
Yeah.
Afghanistan chili, it's got a 10-cent stamp and 2 5-cent stamps on it
Wow.
to get it to me.
Yeah.
And that is 15 meters. August 22, 1962. The guy was using a Viking 500 transmitter and a R388 receiver and a TA33 Yagi antenna that tells you how long they've been around. That's a Kushcraft 3-element beam. Wow.
Yeah, the Vikings were expensive equipment, weren't they?
Yeah.
Was that TA-33? Did that work for 15 meters?
10, 15, and 20. Yeah.
Huh.
Man.
I guess that was before 12 meters.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they didn't have any warp bands at all back then.
And what are they called? Warp bands?
They call it warp. I don't know what that stands for.
Warp bands?
WARC.
Yeah. Well, here's a 4-cent stamp. One of those stamps are worth anything. That reminds me,
No.
I've got a lot of stamps from foreign countries. Some of these guys back then, they were really kind of into stamps. And I've had places like Singapore and countries over there that would send me extra stamps that had never been used from their country. I've got a lot of stamps if anybody's a stamp collector.
I collected stamps for years, U.S. stamps, and was talking to a stamp and coin store one day, and he was like, unless it's just like a misprint or something like that,
Yeah.
might as well just put it on an envelope
Yeah.
and use it. That's just
Yeah,
one
they're
of those.
not worth much. Here's another one of my blank QSL cards. A couple of old cards. I don't send out cards much anymore.
Well, I'd send them out if people, maybe I should send more, and maybe people send me more. But
Yeah.
I kind of wait to see if anybody sends me one, and
Well, that's what they're doing, Sam.
especially on FT8, I'm not going to send them out.
Hey, here's a card from Hawaii, and this guy was using a Viking Ranger and an SX helicopter SX-99 receiver, and this is Hawaii in 1961. Pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of these are stateside. Of course, I didn't have much power or much antenna back then.
I know that.
Yeah, me too.
I know that feeling. I had a DX20, which Heathkit DX20.
Yeah, I know it well.
I know, it's when I first I bought my rig and had my license, and then I couldn't decide what kind of antenna somebody, one of the old Kappa guys said, get this N-wave, this end-fed half wave and get on the air, So I did, and I've just, I make contacts. I know it's not as good as I can have, or as many contacts as I can have, but
Yeah.
Well, I've
got
got
me
an
on there, and
idea
it
for
wasn't
you.
expensive,
I've got an idea. Put up a tower and put a hex beam on it.
There you go.
I don't know. I know this guy's been trying to do that for like 6 months. He's had all these problems.
Yeah. Well, now see, I could give you some advice and you wouldn't have exactly the same problems I had anyway.
You could do
That's
it in
true.
4 months.
Could learn from your
My
your
mistakes.
issues, but I don't know.
Hey, guys, I'll tell you, my unipole antenna is a miracle. That sucker really works. I've been doing all this DX with this unipole antenna that was actually made for 80 meters, but I use it on a lot of bands.
Do you have some kind of a automatic loading coil on it, or?
No. Oh. Here's a QSL card from Greenland that a guy sent me, and it's a actual picture. It kind of looks like a Polaroid picture with the information down here at the bottom.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's his QSL card.
Huh.
Wow.
And his call sign KG1KW. Well, I'll quit looking at that stuff now. But here is a Grand Turk, British West Indies. Oh, guy looks like Santa Claus. See it?
Yep, that looks like a heat kit over there.
Oh, let me see.
Looks like a DX20
Oh,
almost.
that's what it is. Yeah.
I thought I recognized that.
If I can get it right side up.
Yep.
Boy, you got better eyes than I do there, Bill. I can't.
I can
Make it bigger.
Yeah.
If I pin him, maybe I
I
can see.
I don't know what that is. It's sitting beside it.
I
That's,
think that's a VFO.
wow. I had a Heathkit VFO, but it wasn't nearly that big.
And right on top of it is looks like a SWR, Heathkit SWR meter. That's Grand Turks.
And that reminds me of what I looked like when I first got into amateur radio.
Really? 3 cents on that postcard.
Yeah,
God, I can't see that.
yeah, that's what it was back
Oh.
when.
Oh yeah, there's Carl. I remember that.
Back when I first got into amateur radio.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm absolutely serious.
Huh? You're not pulling our leg?
No,
Well, you've gotten younger since then.
I've what?
You've gotten younger since then.
I still couldn't understand you.
Said you've gotten younger.
Oh, yeah. Well, at 70 years old now, that there's a lot of things that change. I've noticed that I don't get up on the roof to change my antennas and stuff as quickly as I used to.
Yes, I've noticed that. I've really slowed down the past year. There's Nicaragua. (1962).
You know, that
Yeah,
reminded me of my oldest QSL cards, and I got those. Mine, of course, were back in the early 70s, and they were from 11 meters on some of the bands that I probably shouldn't have been on. And that reminded me about, I wonder if anybody knows if there is a website or something, maybe with the FCC, that lists people's old citizen band call signs from way back in the day.
Mine is on a label on the front of my old CB that I've got in the box here. So, you know, they had a labeler and I put it on there, but I'd have to go dig it out to tell you what it was. But
Yeah, I was trying to remember everybody's call sign back before they made it so that you didn't have to have a call sign, back when you had to pay.
oh my gosh, there's Peter Laws.
Yes, Am I making noise? Is noise coming from my computer?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Yes,
good.
you are.
it is.
I have a new computer and I am not completely finished setting it up. So,
Well, your audio sounds really good, Peter.
well, thank you. I attribute that to nothing I have done, but to this Logitech headset.
Well, I was asking about you last week. I was afraid I'd missed some news, like, you know,
Ed?
yeah,
No.
Like he,
hadn't
like he gave up
seen or
on
heard you in a while. So
Just, been busy.
that's
And
what
I
they
did-
say. You're a busy guy.
And in 17, I bought a NUC, an Intel NUC, which is a little, well, you can't see me holding it up because I don't have my camera on. Wait a minute here. Hang on.
So how do you spell Nuck?
NUC, it's like
Oh.
new unit of computing or some damn thing. And this is the old one here. If I knew how to move my hands, you would be able to see that. But apparently I don't.
Don't knock your coffee over.
Yeah, vitally important. But this is it. This is it. Legacy free HDMI, USB, Ethernet, yada yada. I bought that in 17, and 2 years and a bit later, here I am on Zoom every day. And it didn't really, I couldn't do all the things I wanted to do and Zoom. And some of that stuff was like doing work while I was doing work Zoom. So the new one is identical, but is a Core i7. So it has quite a bit more oomph.
Yep, the i7s are very nice, fast.
Yeah.
Okay, I found some of my old QSL cards.
You
And
did?
I'm coming up with all kinds of cool stuff here. Here is a Guantanamo Bay
Woo.
card from 1960. And back then, they wrote notes to you on the cards.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys even send you letters, all kinds of. They just don't do that stuff anymore.
There is still a guy that operates occasionally from down there. I think it's WW KG4WW.
Well,
Which
used
is-
to any call sign KG4 was Guantanamo Bay, and now there's KG4 call signs all over the East Coast.
But they're 3 letters after the KG4.
Yes,
If it's
right.
2 letters, it's
Yeah.
Guantanamo.
That's right. And I got, here's another Guantanamo Bay and some Hawaiian contacts, and this is 1961 KG4 Guantanamo Bay.
There you go. We at my alma mater, when I was there in the early 90s, I realized we had never applied for worked all states, and we certainly had the cards to do it. So I gathered up all the cards, went through them all, found all 50 states, and submitted them, and mailed it. I think we actually mailed them to the ARRL.
Yeah.
And they came back and said, yeah, 49 of those are good, but that Hawaii one, that's no good. Because it was from 1952.
So, that's right. wasn't quite a state.
Exactly.
It was a country, though.
Yeah, it was, but didn't count for worked all states. So we
Yeah.
had to find another one and submit it from after 1959. Yeah, that was until you mentioned all those old cards, I hadn't really thought about that in a while.
Oh, and I found a mini log.
Oh, look at that. Is that what you kept when you were operating portable and you
That was
sent it to the district inspector or something?
portable and mobile and stuff. And there's a schematic drawn on the back of one. Man,
as there should be.
Yeah. I got all kinds of stuff here to go through. I've been going through some of my QSL cards, trying to add to country list, and found about 30 of them that are hard to come by that I'm going to add to it.
Very good. You got any deleteds? You must.
I got a lot of deleted ones.
Those count too.
Do they?
They count.
I just told Carl they didn't count.
Now I gotta be specific here. They do not count for DXCC honor roll.
Right.
Honor roll is only current countries.
Yeah.
But if you want to put them towards your mixed or your bands or your CW or whatever, they still count.
Good. Yugoslavia doesn't even show up on the list. And I've worked Yugoslavia on several bands.
I forget how they split that one, because it seems like one of the pieces that was left over inherited the Yugoslavianness, and that's like the continuing piece. And then the other ones I don't remember. There was a whole big deal. I remember that there was a big deal about it, but I don't remember the details. It's like, if you go dig up the DXCC list, it's all in the footnotes, all 350 footnotes or whatever it is.
I found a DXCC list, but it was from 1999, so I don't think it's up to date.
No, it's not too far off, but there was a bunch of new countries in 2010. Seems like something else happened in the early 2000s.
Well, they split up some of the islands down there,
Yeah, that was 2010. Well, recently. God, that's already 12 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah. Found a QSL card from hand that I worked in on Quaduline. His call sign is Victor 73 God. V73 God. And I've been to Quaduline several times. We put in a point-to-point single sideband station there in 1959. So we went there a few times. And it's not a very big island. It's the biggest island in the Marshall Islands. And when you land on the runway, your right wing is hanging out over the ocean.
Excellent.
Kind of scary.
I worked with a guy when I worked at the Severe Storms Lab back in the 90s. I worked with a guy who had been active duty Air Force in meteorology, and he had been stationed at Quadj for a couple of years.
Wow. 2 years would be a long time.
Ken, is the prevailing wind there directly into the runway, or is it coming in off of the water?
Well, it comes in off of the water. I mean, the runway goes all the way across the island. You start.
Is it parallel with the water, or is it perpendicular to the water?
I don't know what you mean.
To the beach, is it parallel to the beach, or is it in line with the prevailing wind?
Yes, it is. Well, one way.
Okay, so it's perpendicular to the beach.
The one end of the runway is on one beach on one side of the island. The other end of the runway is on the beach on the other side of the island.
Okay.
So it runs beach to beach.
If you don't get stopped, you run into the beach, into the ocean.
When I was building ultralights, that was one of their benefits, was that with at least the trike style, that you could point your wing almost directly 90 degrees and yaw into the runway and get your wheels lined up on the runway. And also taking off, you could take off just about 90 degrees into the wind, just by adjusting your wing so that you were actually taking off in yaw.
Probably a little more modern aircraft than I was on.
Wow, you tell them, buddy.
Now we know where the bark's coming from.
On the radio, yeah.
Yeah.
Which none of the squares lit up for me. I don't know who that was. My dog doesn't bark that deeply. They're all little yippy dogs.
I don't have a
Well,
dog.
not yippy, but
Peter, you've been working in DX. You got that new radio that you bought up and running?
I talked on the 705 the other week for the siren net. I stuck a rubber duck on the BNC that's on it and used that to check into the siren net. That's the only time I've talked on it. No, I've been knee deep in doing this computer thing, and I had everything apart, and yeah, it's just a mess.
So you're building a computer?
I'm on it now. My hands are soaking in it right now.
Did you build it or?
No. It's an Intel NUC.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's these little teeny tiny legacy free PCs that it's small enough that it includes a mounting plate that fits on the Visa bracket on the back of your display.
Yeah.
Which is how I have it mounted. Yeah, it's pretty cool, but I have.
And it's got an i7 in it?
Yeah. And I put a 32 gig stick in it, and it's got room for another 32. And then
How big physically is it?
4x4 by 1.5 inch, I guess.
Wow.
Wow. So that's even tiny compared to this little thing.
Yeah.
See,
yeah.
Does it come with Windows loaded on it, or?
Hell no. No, you gotta buy an SODIMM, and you gotta buy a disk for it. There are two versions. There's the short version, which doesn't have a 2.5 inch drive bay. It only has the M2 slot on it.
M.2 drive, yeah.
Yeah, which is fine if you want that. I wanted a real drive, and so I got the tall version and stuck the RAM in, stuck the disk in, and booted up. And I know I came up with a copy of Windows 10 for it.
Yeah.
I could have put 11 on it, but I don't see any good reason to.
Apparently, there's a lot of radio programs that doesn't not working with Windows 11 yet.
My main one, DX Lab, does, but I just 10 really works well. I mean, I didn't see a reason to muck with it.
Yeah.
What's the story on your Hollywood Squares avatar?
I'm for the block there. Nobody can get the. Do you not remember the show? Come on, Carl. You watched it when you were a kid. I know you did.
Yeah, that's how I knew that it was Hollywood Squares.
I fixed the name though. They had my name spelled wrong on it. So
I can see there where you fixed it.
yeah, I did a good job, didn't I?
I'm glad you don't do your hair that way anymore.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That was so 60s.
He died. He died at like 53 or 54. He didn't live very long. He wasn't very old when he died.
Really?
Like finished Hollywood Squares and then died. So I don't know.
That's been a rough game.
I guess that was
A lot of
crazy
those
show. Those 70s game shows were nuts.
You know, a lot of those movie types don't live to be.
Yeah.
And others live to be 95. I guess it's a cross section, but
Yeah. Yeah. Betty White lived to what, 99? She just
99,
just short of
Yeah,
100.
she just didn't quite make 100. I was kind of disappointed in that.
but see, I think
I
she
was
was a
too.
nice person.
She was.
She was.
She was.
I mean, everything I read, she wasn't a partier. She didn't, make people mad that would stab her and, stuff like that. So she, probably
That's
didn't
how-
do drugs or, she was a good
That's-
person. So,
Been one of my life goals too, is to not make people mad enough to stab me. That's
yeah.
I think that's important.
But,
And so far, so good. So
So far, it's worked, huh?
yeah, so far,
No knife wounds.
not that I'm aware of.
Only thing, Peter, as time goes by, people's patience gets shorter.
Well,
So you
it's
still
true.
have time.
That's true. You're not wrong.
there's road rage. There's,
Yeah. Right.
stuff, so.
Yup. I am trying to copy my OBS Studio stuff over from the old computer. I've been transferring everything back. I got the old computer still works. And I have Dropbox on both of them. So I can just copy stuff through the Dropbox and can see it on both sides. It's kind of handy.
OBS is in Oklahoma Bicycle Society.
No. Open Broadcast Studio. The thing that lets you do all the goofy cameras.
So you're gonna put all your ham gear on this little computer, ham software?
Oh yeah. I've got the COM ports are all back where they're supposed to be, so DX Lab can talk to all the radios.
Mhm.
I don't have the audio stuff straightened out quite yet because I've got the USB sound dongles for 3 radios, and then the 705 has one built in.
So how many USB ports has this thing got?
I think it's got, hang on here. 2 A's on the front and I think it's got
Has it
2
got a
A's and
USB?
2 C's on the back.
Is that a USB 3 port?
Some of them are 2, but most of them are 3, and one of them is whichever one supports 10 gig.
Yeah. Well,
10 gig and DisplayPort too. I think I can run DisplayPort through there. So I ran DisplayPort. The old one only had one HDMI, so the second monitor was in an adapter that plugged into the USB. It's a USB-C connector, but it carries DisplayPort data, so it worked fine. But
And you have to have dongles for each external device.
The dongles are cheap. They're not more than $15. And then I have a dedicated sound chip for that radio, but in both directions, transmit and receive. And to me, it's just easier to do it that way. It's funny, the old NUC had a standard 1/8 inch port for audio, and it was one of the tip ring sleeve things. So you had to put a splitter on to get the mic and the speaker. And I got the new one out and took it out of the box, and there was no connector on it. And it's like, oh, damn it. How am I do need speakers. Well, I ended up running it through my display because my display has the speaker jack on it, and it runs, the audio comes through the HDMI port.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
So many things. All right, where are we going here? We
Well,
need.
guys, I think I'm gonna sign off.
All right.
I'm getting a little tired. I
Yeah.
woke up at 5 o'clock this morning and
This
Is
time change thing, man. I don't know. I don't think it's
Yeah, I
going to
know.
catch on.
We was talking about that a while ago, Peter. We're all against it.
You know, the Senate passed a no time change thing today, and it's going to the House.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll see.
We'll see.
Won't go into effect for another year, November of a year from now, even if it passes. So,
Not gonna hold my breath.
Well, it'd make too much sense. It'd be too simple, you know. Would actually save a lot of hassles, a lot of money. There was, I also read an article about, you know, what it costs to reset all the clocks every year, you know, in the world.
Well,
United States.
I'm not
you know.
sure that's that big a deal. I mean, most of it's automated now, right? I mean, my
Some
mental
of it. Some
my
of it.
mental clock has got the little WWVB thing in it, so it was fine. And
I go around and reset about half a dozen clocks here.
Yeah, I've got probably a half a dozen here. that,
Really?
you know, have to be
Yeah.
manually reset there.
it's the car one that always catches me.
One in the car, one in the truck.
Yep.
I don't even ever change it.
It's
Your
just
car
wrong
one
part of the year.
doesn't, your car doesn't automatically update?
Not mine.
I don't think so.
None of mine do either. Well, I don't know about my new Ford. I haven't actually looked at it since the time change. So I'll check that tomorrow, but my Prius doesn't.
My pickup is still the same as it was last year, so it's right.
Yeah, that's one way to avoid setting all those clocks. Just don't
Yeah.
unset
Just don't
them.
bother with it. Yeah.
Oh. Well, my wife's got this this clock we really like on her bedside table. It's got big numbers on it where you can see them without your glasses, like all the way across the room.
Uh-huh.
And except it was one of those that automatically set itself for daylight savings time on the old schedule, and there's no way to go in and tell it.
Oh.
So now we're sitting here for like 3
Mhm.
weeks having
Before it
to
changes.
do math, and then it'll change, you know,
Yeah.
whenever the. But
Yeah, like these.
yeah. Oh, do yours change automatically? See, mine doesn't. My little ones I bought for the
No, they
hands.
don't. No, they don't change automatically, but they're big.
Oh
Big
yeah,
numbers.
yeah.
They're also
No.
not right, Carl. It's not 8:04. It's 8:30.
Is it?
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
off
Yeah, they're close enough.
26, only 26 minutes off.
I'm retired. They're close enough.
I'm not retired, and I'm lucky if I know what day or time it is. So
Wait till you retire. I wouldn't know what day it was, except I take pills and I've got them in these little containers that say
oh,
MT. You know?
I'm old enough to do that already.
That's how I know
so-
what day of the week it is.
I don't take any pills, so I don't have that problem.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
There, how's that? Is that better?
Uh-huh. Thought so.
There you go.
Yeah, you're right on.
Looks like they
Well-
moved around.
Kind of thought you were cheating there, but I wasn't sure.
No, it's after 7, so I can actually start using electricity again. You know, I didn't know it until about a month ago that they OEC is double the fee between 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. It's 25 cents a kilowatt hour.
Wow. Huh.
Not now. That's a summer thing. That's only in the summer, Carl. Time of use tariff, right? They've got a couple different tariffs now. It's kind of hard to keep track.
Yeah, I didn't see anything about it being like a monthly thing. I just saw that's what it was.
I'm pretty sure. Let me look at something here. Oh,
Well,
that's not on this computer. That's on the.
I can tell that my solar collectors are helping out.
Oh, how many watts do you have?
That's about 1,200 watts.
Very good.
Not a lot, but
But
it was
it
pumping
adds
out.
up.
It was pumping out about 1,200 watts today.
And I looked at doing it here, and with all the requirements of Oklahoma City, I'd have to hire an electrician, and the cost just gets.
That's why I did it myself.
Well, I'd like to, but in Oklahoma City, you got to have it inspected and all the
No, you
stuff.
don't. Mine's on the roof of my patio, which is patio behind my house. You can't even see them solar collectors. There's 8 of them up there. And they're hooked up to grid tie inverters. They're split up in 4 to 1 grid tie inverter and 4 to the other one. And each grid tie inverter hooks on each leg of the power coming into the house.
Yeah, the city of Oklahoma City told me they even wanted me to have I had to have an engineering study done to see if my roof would hold the panels.
Yeah.
To get the permit to put in solar.
So
So they've never actually weighed a panel, have they?
No.
Oh, no.
And another thing, are they going to pay for any damage that if you do have a roof damage? Why do they have to look at it? You're the one that's going to pay for it if it breaks. If it falls
That's
through,
true. That's
they're not going to come out and pay for it.
Nope.
That sounds like a we don't want to do that type of thing.
That's exactly what it is.
Well,
We've got a big oil lobby in Oklahoma that has tried to stop anything that has to do with solar panels. We've got some of the worst solar panel laws
Yeah,
in the country.
I can't help but when it comes to the city government, they just don't wanna. It doesn't matter that it's solar. That could be you could be asking to put oil wells on your roof, and they're like, "Oh, we don't know. Do this study, do that other thing."
well,
And they're hoping you go away.
just go do it yourself, and it won't cost you very much that way. And that way you'll live long enough to pay for it. If you pay someone $50,000 to do it, you're never going to get your money back.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's
Annoying, isn't it?
You
Yep.
do it yourself and don't even tell them. And see, I'm not doing a lot, so I don't have to worry about feeding power back into the grid.
Well,
So
if you've got grid tie inverters, they're not going to. If you don't have the sell button turned on, they're not going to send anything back.
This grid tie inverter will not. They're designed not to put power back into the grid.
Oh, okay.
They will quit producing. They will start shutting down producing power if it gets close to within so much wattage to keep it from putting any back into it.
Which also keeps it from working if you lose power from the grid.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
well, even like my brother-in-law's got true grid tied. He sells his excess, but they shut down if you lose power from the grid.
Yeah, all grid
Oh
tie
yeah,
inverters-
that's a requirement. Yeah,
All
because you
grid
don't want to
tie
fry the guy that's
they don't.
working on your line.
Yeah.
So, it's a different setup if you want to do batteries, but I could do that too. If my power goes off for an extended period of time, I can convert mine over to charging batteries.
I had a guy tell me the other day that I could have 3 12-volt, like car-sized batteries here and charge them off the solar and run my house all night when the sun was down.
He's full of crap.
Yeah, I know. He needs to do some math. But might run my ham radio all night,
Yeah.
Yeah.
off 3
Those
batteries.
lithium ion 12-volt 100 ampere hour batteries.
Yep, I've got 3 of them.
About $900 each.
Haven't paid that much for mine, but I've got 3 of them. But I've got 2 on my camper, and but these people that buy these campers, they get this little solar panel on the roof of it, and it's got a 100 amp hour lithium ion, or even not lithium ion, just a regular old deep cycle,
Yeah,
and they can't figure out why they can't make coffee in the morning.
yeah.
You know,
Well,
they're on
look at it this way. That coffee pot pulls 1,000 watts.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 500 plus.
1,000. I mean,
I
small coffee pots, a kilowatt.
a few years ago when our power was out and I was running our house off my little gas generator, my wife couldn't understand why I wouldn't let her use her blow dryer either.
Yeah.
You know, I just, you know, what do you want to,
Yeah, no, not going to happen.
not if you want to have lights and water and everything else, you know. So, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I've got somewhere between 42 and 50 kilowatt hours of batteries over here with my system that I don't have hooked up yet, but it's not going to be tied to the grid. It's just going to be
Yeah,
completely independent.
I understand. I started to go that route. But
Well,
I'm glad I went this
OG&E,
route.
OG&E started charging, I think, $25 a month to be grid tied, and I kind of
Sure.
understand that because they still have to maintain that wire from your house. You know, they'll let you have a zero electric bill except for that $25, but their justification to the corporate commission was that they have to maintain the wire on your road from your house to the pole, et cetera, and so that's why they do it. But they will let you have a zero, you know, you can have a zero electric bill. But my brother-in-law is getting ready to move from OG&E and to another. He's building a new house. It's not under OG&E, and I don't know what power company is, but they won't let you grid tie at all. I mean, they just have no, you know, they want like $500 a month to be grid tied. It's just so
Well,
he's going to put in batteries, and
if you grid tie like I do, and you're not feeding power back into the power company, they don't know that you're even on there.
right. Yeah, you're just using less electricity. That
So you
makes
can,
sense.
yeah, you can be grid tie. All it does is supplement my electric bill.
I'll have to, I'm sure he knows about that. He's by far more expert than I am, but and he's been doing it for years. But he put in a big transfer switch, and as he built his house, there's a big
Mhm.
transfer switch that he
Yeah.
can he
Yeah.
can actually throw that transfer switch and disconnect from the power. And
Well, they have auto disconnect and start your generator.
his is manual. It's just a great big, you know, throw this switch. It just, you know,
Like a Dr. Frankenstein thing.
Yeah, almost. But oh,
Peter, you've been getting on the air and making DX contacts?
No, I haven't. I've hardly done any radio stuff lately. And I
know
need
you're a member of the Oklahoma DX organization, aren't
I
you?
am, yes.
I should join that.
Yeah.
not-
Do you
not
know
very-
Kim? Do you know Kim Elmore? He's president. I think he's
Yeah.
president again this year.
Yeah. It's not very expensive. I probably should do
No.
that.
No, and they pool the money and send it to various de-expeditions. So I'm cool with that. That's a good idea, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Do you have any idea how this Kim Elmore, I knew somebody in grade school that had that name. You have any idea how old that he would be?
Oh, do you know
Older
his
than
call,
me. He's over 60, but under 65.
do you know his call sign, Peter? You can,
N50P.
look him up on QRZ there.
He grew up in the Tulsa area, and then he lived in Colorado for a while, but I think he was working in Boulder. And then he came back. You've never met him, Carl? He doesn't come to the meetings very often.
I don't know.
Anyway, you know, probably would be to my benefit to join because they put out information whenever the expedition's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting pretty close to having 5-band DXCC plus 3 more bands. but I still need 5 contacts on 80 meters. And I should be over there trying to get them now, but
Everybody needs 80 meters.
yeah. Most of the good DX that I've got on 80 meters was done back in the early 2000s, and most of them were CW.
Those still count.
I was wondering about that. I have cards, QSL cards.
Cards still count.
Yeah, but I don't think, if I remember right, after they're 10 years old, the card checker can't do them. You have to mail them in. Is that right?
I don't know the answer to that.
Or is that some kind of an old rule?
That's probably an old rule, but I don't know for certain.
Yeah.
I don't know for certain.
Here's one. Don't you guys look at them little girls' titties? See, that's a pretty old card.
What? Oh, sorry. I was looking at something else here.
That's 7Q7. That's
Wow.
from them African countries.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't say.
2000.
Shocked to hear that.
2002. That was a single sideband contact, 10 meters. But I've got a bunch of them cards that are back in that era. Here's a St. Helena's a QSL card. And I think there's only about 1 ham there now. And that sucker wants you to send him $5 to send you a QSL card.
Seems a little high.
Seems a little high. So I'm just going to try to get some of these old ones. This is a 2002 sideband, 10 meters. So I've got a bunch of these old. There's another St. Helena.
Right,
Zimbabwe.
I'm gonna drop off, but I'm coming right back, I promise.
I only got Millish Reef too, which is another one. Some of them places that those guys went to on the expeditions were just little pieces of rock sticking up out of the ocean.
I've quit trying to contact or paying attention to the expeditions, because the last 2 or 3 that I've got their timetable so that I could try to make contact with them. It ended up getting bad weather or something or other, or problems with the ship, and they never made it to their destination. So I was kind of wondering if it had anything to do with me trying to make contact with them. So I quit
All right,
paying attention to that stuff.
No, it's, so many of the DXCC entities are these silly little islands out in the middle of nowhere with 14 people and 12,000 penguins. And
see, this right here is South Pole, South Shetland Island. That's a Korean expedition there, scientific station, Antarctica. Kazakhstan too, that's another hard one. Solomon Islands. Yep. I've got to get these somehow. I've got to get these.
Peter, that Elmer has got an interesting biography on his QRZ page that he's married to blah blah blah
and 0MGC, I think,
and have 2 harmonics. I had to.
You've never heard of that term? Apparently not.
I haven't heard that very much since
yeah.
the 60s.
Yeah, not
been a ham that long.
See that's India right there.
He's been a ham since I guess it wasn't the 60s. I guess it was the early 70s, but
Yeah.
because he's not that old. But
Since 1970.
oh, right there, WN5CLC. There you go.
Okay, I also got Millish Reef.
Another tiny island with 14 people and 12,000 birds.
Yeah.
Carl, there was a guy who owned a ship called the Braveheart, and he was famous for taking crazy amateurs to various silly little islands, but he sold the ship recently, and I suspect that threw a wrench into a lot of plans. Okay, let's get, what is that not showing up there? Is that the right one? Ah, there it is. There it is. Okay. Usually that looks right there. There we go.
Well, you got the camera working anyway.
Yeah, that's a program called OBS Studio, which I think is recursive because I think it's Open Broadcast Studio. And it lets you do all pretty close to professional video switching. I'm not a video professional. I don't know how to really do this, but it lets me throw different things up on my screen.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
you can.
is it like a video editing program?
More like a switcher, in that you can have multiple cameras and multiple images and different screenshots and stuff, and move all between them, and you can have different scenes. Whoops, different scenes set up.
There's a Dago Garcia.
Oh yeah, the Indian Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there an Air Force base there too? U.S. Air Force
Seems like
Base?
it used to be. I don't know if there still is.
Seems like I've heard them on HF.
And I got a ZD7. I don't remember where that's at. In Ascensius Island.
Oh, okay.
Huh?
Talk about de-expeditions a little. I may be going to the Caribbean for 2 weeks.
That's terrible.
I know.
What part?
I'll probably get sunburned.
I bet you
Going
will.
Which
Where are you
island
going?
to? Which island?
Bonaire.
Yeah.
Okay. PJ4, I
Well,
think.
Scuba diving for 2 weeks. And
you're not going to take ham radio?
well, that's what I'm really thinking, but doggone, it just takes a lot of, get my
Effort.
scuba gear, and I'm already, luggage wise, we're already really pushing it just to
I know
get
what you mean.
There's some rentals down there.
radio rentals.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hmm.
You might Google one up.
Yeah, I never thought of that. Every de-expedition I've ever heard about, everybody packed up their gear and took it with antennas and all that.
Think how much easier it would be to.
They're
Yeah.
usually for contesters that go down there for the contest weekend. But if you're not there on a contest weekend,
Yeah. Wouldn't be a problem.
So I got to figure out licensing and,
if I don't know if they're part of SEPT or not. If they're part of SEPT, it's dead simple. And if they're part of Sitel, it's still dead simple, but it's $10 dead simple. So
well,
DX rental Bonaire, you said, yeah?
Yep.
PJ's rental
There's
information.
a
PJ4J, PJ4G.
Republic of Congo.
wow. Their cards are pretty cool. They really go all out,
Yeah. Oh, we got a rental at Bonaire. That sounds good.
Yeah. What was that?
PJ4.
PJ4G.com.
G is in George.
G is in George. Papa Juliet 4 Golf.
Okay.
I
can't scuba dive 24/7, so
no.
although I'd like
Now,
to.
I don't know nothing about. I don't know if this is this is the first one that came up. So,
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's one option. It's certainly worth looking at.
What's
Yeah.
the call sign again? PJ4 what?
G as in golf. But that just was the first one that came up. I said,
Well,
Well,
I didn't even know such a thing. I guess everything's rentable, but you know, thank you, Peter. I'm glad you showed up tonight.
I just looked him up.
oh, my work here is done. I'll see you guys later.
All right.
Sam, you probably could scuba dive 24/7, but the helium makes your voice sound funny.
I'm a straight air guy. I don't do that that deep stuff and everything. But
Okay. I've worked PJ4G 4 times. I worked him on 10 sideband, 10 CW, 15 CW, and 15 sideband. Special contest call sign, PJ4G. Bon Air.
On air. Yep.
make a
That's
note
this cool logging program. You can look that stuff up.
here. That you just started using.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ken's in love.
Yeah, that's a good program. You use that, don't you? That.
Oh yeah,
What are you guys doing?
amateur contact log.
You're using
Oh, okay.
that one, aren't you?
Me? No, I use DX Lab.
Okay.
DX Lab. Because the other ones were not nearly complicated enough. So
So you had to get DX Lab.
you bet.
Well, Ken hasn't been using amateur contact log very long, and I've been using it for like since I became a ham 3 years ago, and he taught me stuff tonight that I didn't know how to do.
That sounds like our man Ken.
Get in there and try things.
It's pretty convenient.
You gotta.
Really easy to use.
You know, I mean, just back to the other. I mean, even scuba stuff. Of course, you can't take tanks anyway, but you know, I rent some of my stuff once I get there. It's just, you know, first of all, it's been if you rent from the right place, it's been checked over and
Yeah.
you know, by certified people and stuff.
I have worked PJ4G on 10 and 15 phone from here and 10 and 15 phone from Illinois when I lived there.
How about
Wow.
that?
I gotta see if I can find him. Get him on there and pick up another country, and also ask him about renting his shack for a bit.
You could probably, well, didn't you say he had a website, Peter?
Yeah, that callsign.com. That's how he was the first one that came up.
Shoot. You'd think we sprang back instead of sprung forward, because I'm.
Oh, I know it. I cannot stand the time change. Pick one, stick with it. I'd rather they went with standard time just because it fits in my head
Standard.
better, but
I'm with you, but either one will work.
yeah,
Doesn't it kind of mess with Greenwich Mean Time if you march your way across the earth, changing an
Yes.
hour each, and then suddenly, whoops, it's 2 hours. But
Yes.
still,
that's why I'd prefer it be standard time, but
Yeah, me too.
it's the change I don't like. It's just stick with one. And I think, I don't know, it really, a lot depends on your latitude and your
attitude.
attitude. Yes.
that's why it'll
true.
never pass Congress.
But your latitude and also where you are in the time zone. I mean, because there's an hour's difference between each side of the time zone, right? So
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I found it here. It looks like it's $1,600 a week, 1 week minimum.
1,600.
And there's a phone number here.
Jeez.
like I said, Google around.
I was gonna say, I want a couple
Well,
hours, you know?
This is a contest station.
Yeah,
It's got multiple rigs and multiple antennas. You just need a cottage type thing with a ham rig and one Yagi on top.
well, I don't know, any of you all ever been to Bonaire? It's,
No,
No.
I never have.
Been to Belize, but
I
not
think
Bonaire.
Piedmont is bigger in square miles. And, you know, speed limit's 25 everywhere on the island, and you got to watch out for donkeys.
And it still only takes 10 minutes to get anywhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, you can get lost and take just 10 minutes to get places. But, it is. I don't know if I could live there. I think sometimes I could live there, and we're looking at going for 2 weeks. I've never been there for 2 weeks before. I've been there for a week at a time, but used to be that's the only thing you could do. The only flights in and out were on Saturday. You flew in on Saturday, you left on Saturday. No choices. And now there's the three majors.
Is Bonaire the one where there's a beach right at the end of the runway, and all the people stand there and try to touch the landing gear as it goes? Is that Bonaire, or is that one of the other?
Well,
You
there's
know the one
actually,
I mean, right?
Actually, there's a road right at the end of the runway. I've never seen people standing out there. I know what you're talking about. I've seen that, but I don't think that's Bonaire.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
But it's
when we landed in Jamaica, you have to exit out on the tarp.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'm sure it's that way there too. You exit out on the landing strip.
yeah. Well, let me tell you, the first time we went to Bonaire, we got there at 4 a.m. in the morning. It was pitch black. There's no, you know, there's this little cinder block building, and they put the stairs, and you go down like in the olden days. You know, there's no jetway, and you start down. My glasses immediately fogged up. I almost fell down the stairs, and then the mosquitoes started eating on me.
Fresh
And I was
tourists,
like,
quick,
what
everybody!
kind of HE double hockey sticks have I gotten into here? And you know, you go over to the rental car place. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. You go over to the rental car place, and there's this woman half awake over there who barely speaks English. And
So you're saying you had a good time?
Well, you know, when the sun came up, it was a lot of fun. And once you do it once or twice, you just
It's easier. Huh?
and actually now the flights don't get there at 4 in the morning. They leave here at 4 in the morning and get there at a reasonable time. But
What time did you leave if you got there at 4?
we left Oklahoma City at like 10 o'clock at night, if I remember, or 9 o'clock at night. Went to Houston, and we had like an hour changeover, and then
So
at
you
that
left there at
time
midnight or
they
something.
couldn't fly over Cuba.
Yeah.
So the flight kind of had to go,
Okay.
you know, around
Okay.
Cuba.
Okay. Yeah.
Whenever I went to Jamaica, we couldn't fly over Cuba. We had to fly around it. And we
Yep.
went a long ways around, like over
Europe.
Peninsula, the Yucatan Peninsula.
I'll make sure you don't get in range of their SAMs, you know. But yeah, it was a long. I think it's going to be a shorter flight now. I really haven't looked at the flight times, but they. But anyway, it's.
Whenever we went from when we landed in Jamaica, we rode a bus to our hotel, which was in Ocho Rios, and along the way there was a aircraft on the beach that had been shot all to pieces. They said that was a drug runner that was trying to take off there, and they shot him up before he got in the air.
You know,
Excellent.
there's a ship that you can dive down to. It sits on a sandy bottom right at 100 feet, and it's called the Hilma Hooker. And supposedly it was
Of course it is.
a ship that broke down right off the island, and kind of get the crew abandoned it. And when they went out, when the Bonarians or whatever went out there, they was loaded with drugs. So they took the drugs off the ship to shore
To the tourists.
And turned them
Burned
into
them.
the law enforcement
and
officers.
burned them.
Yeah.
They burned them. And the next night, the ship just mysteriously sunk, and it's laying on its side down there. It's it's a pretty cool dive, except, you know, without using nitrox.
Yeah, 100 feet.
100 feet, I have had the last time the only time I've been down there, I had 4 minutes
Yeah.
at the hooker, you know, which is just about enough time to swim casually from one end to the other. And then I had to
and then
turn
go
around and
back
come up.
Yeah.
But it was, first time we went down there, we were newly certified. My wife and I were newly certified in scuba and stuff. So we were coming through customs, coming home, and there was this 80-year-old woman in front of us, and got talking to her, and she'd been down there like for a month scuba diving, and she said, yeah, she said, every morning I get up and I go down to she stayed in one of the resorts, and she said, I go to the cafeteria or whatever, and I said, just kind of announce that that I'm going to do this dive today. Does anybody want to go with me? And my wife said, so what happens if nobody wants to go? And she goes, well, I just go. And my wife was like, you can't do that. You're supposed to always the buddy system and, you know, all this stuff we've been taught. And this woman looked at my wife and she said, hun, she said, I'm 84 years old. I've been scuba diving for 40 years. My husband passed away 10 years ago. There's nothing in the world I enjoy more than scuba diving. And if I die scuba diving, my kids know that I died happy. So if I want to scuba dive, nobody else wants to go, I'm going. And it was just like, wow, you know, she was in some kind of polar bear thing. She lived like in Delaware or somewhere. And they, you know, scuba dive when the water's 36 degrees or whatever up there. And
thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm trying to decide if I need a new wetsuit, even in Bonaire. So I'm not sure I can fit in my. Not sure I liked it anyway, but.
When you planning on going, Sam?
Well, we're looking at probably July or August. We'll see. I'm not going to tell you exactly. Might come back and my 7300 will be gone. And, you know.
I'm sure that's what will happen. Yes.
Yeah. But
why do you say that?
Well, he obviously doesn't trust you. So.
Well, and this is all being recorded, you know.
Well, that
not you guys, but who
yeah.
knows
Well,
who,
that's
you know.
yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Once
that's
it
fair.
hits the internet, anybody and everybody can, you know, can view this.
You're not wrong.
Well, I do have a pet rattlesnake that lives right here in the ham shack. So
Yeah, right.
He's pretty tame as long as he knows you. But I don't know. I don't know if we'll really go or not. So I wanted to go last year and they shut the island. They had the island shut down.
Mm.
That's how they took care of Corona. They just didn't let anybody in or let anybody off. They just
Peter, what's the current story on the test sessions as far as like how many hoops do people have to jump through to be a VE now?
The Laurel VEC is fairly hoop free. Aren't you one of our? Yeah, you have your Laurel.
Well, I'm asking about COVID and if we still have to wear masks and if we have to sit 6 feet apart and space people out in the room to where there's only 4 people in the room at a time.
I think that's a
still
city.
the
We had
That was a city,
14
wasn't it, Peter?
It was a city mostly.
Yeah.
14 candidates the last test session. We had 6 or 7 examiners. I forget. I'd have to look it up. No, I still wear my mask because I don't want any of that crap in my lungs, but come back. In fact, the next one, we should have the people from the class, and I'm not sure how many of the people in the class, I don't know how many people are in the class, and I don't know how many are actually serious, but we may have a whole bunch like this. Like I said, we had 14 at the last test session,
Yeah.
all but one of whom was successful, which was really nice.
Is it required though to space and wear masks and all that stuff?
We space people up, but that's as much for cheating as anything.
Yeah. So it's not actually required, but it's what we normally did anyway.
I think the city's kind of dropped all their
They dropped it a while ago.
requirements. Yeah, it wasn't Laurel. It was the city of Norman.
No, it wasn't Laurel. Well, they care, but they're not in a position to enforce that sort of thing. So,
Okay, so once again, is it required to wear masks?
no one's requiring.
Look at
anybody
Elmer
to do
Night
anything.
on the computer.
Yeah,
There-
go look at Elmer Night.
I mean, there's no requirement in the city of Norman now.
No.
So actually, I think Norman hung on longer than some.
I wear mine because I don't want that crap in me.
Yeah, I wear mine a lot too.
Nobody's had COVID for longer than what, 2 years and maybe a half, maybe. And who knows what it's going to be like for them when they've had it in them for 5 years. I don't want to be one of the.
Yep.
I don't want to be one of the
I don't want to be a
test
long haul.
subjects.
Yeah.
So I wear mine. But
you
yeah,
know,
come on.
you could come back with lung problems 5 years from now due to COVID.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't want to find out what that's all about. So, like I said, we had 14 candidates last session, which is
I heard it was a crowd.
the
So-
biggest. I looked at our stats. It's actually the biggest since last March session, where we had like 13 or something. So I don't know what the deal is with March, but there you have it. So
March Madness.
is that what it is? I bet you're right.
And I heard the class, we're talking about the class, the first session, there were only like 4, and then next sessions, there've been 10 or more. So, you know,
Oh,
it's like
really? Oh,
people
okay.
kind of forgot about it or something, didn't, but anyway.
Okay. Well,
So
the more, I mean,
maybe
I'm glad.
maybe a crowd from that.
I want people to get licensed, but I also want techs to get their damn general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where you look at the frequency chart, man.
Yep.
Don't
Well,
worry
yeah,
about extra.
yeah.
Extra is a different thing, but
Yeah.
get on every band. And not only do you get on every HF band, you're only restricted to slivers on 4 bands.
Yeah.
And that's only phone. There's only 1 or 2 bands where you lose a little bit of CW data.
The reason that I got my extra classes so I didn't have to remember to stay in the general class section.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, I
was-
got my general like 2 months after I got my tech, and they wanted me, when I took my tech, they said, "You want to go ahead and take your general?" And I hadn't even looked at it. I mean, I had no idea whether, and just being a guy that doesn't like rejection, you know, I decided so, you know, 2 months later, I was like, God, I should have just done it. I could have passed this, you know, but
and you came back and passed it.
So is there still no fee, Peter? Or
So still no fee. I'm pleased, but you know, Congress told the FCC, you will collect fees. You figure out how to do it. And so they went through the whole rulemaking procedure as required by Congress and came up with the fees. And this is who's going to pay for what, for where. And they still haven't turned it on yet.
my kind of people?
Well, I mean, it's fine by me, but
we
But,
ignore it long enough, it will just go away, you
Yeah.
know.
yeah, I guess, but geez.
I mean, who knows what's going on in the background? You know, some little sliver of some budget bill is liable to
Oh,
have a
yeah.
thing that takes away that requirement. You know,
Well,
and
so
they
so
know
there,
that, but
there
know.
were license fees back in the 70s. I came across it when I was looking for something else, and it was like $8 or $9. And you're thinking, well, $8 or $9. Well, yeah, but when you adjust that for inflation, even
Yeah.
before this recent big
Yeah.
jump, it was pretty close to $30. So, but
Yep.
we had Congress gave us an exception, and ARRL, when the bill came up this time, they dropped the ball because they were too busy hiring and firing CEOs. And
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's not
that's the time to get the carve out.
It's not an unreasonable fee, but
My thing was so you don't, as it currently stands, it's an application fee. It's not a license fee, which
Okay.
means that, unfortunately, you will pay the fee every time you have an application. Now, they will not charge you for a renewal, but they will charge you for an upgrade because it's another
really,
thing.
so
Or if
I'm
you wanna-
already an extra. I will never have to pay. I haven't paid.
you'll have to pay for a renewal.
Oh, I thought
no,
you said-
no, you wait. Hang on. I'm wrong. It's renewals. It's change of address that there's not a fee for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for renewal there's a fee, and it's like, yeah, I guess. I suspect we, the amateurs, put through so many applications in ULS that we're basically going to be paying for the whole thing.
It looks like my license comes up in 2024.
You know, it's really weird. When I went from tech to general, they changed my renewal date. No, they didn't change it. It stayed the same. But when I went to extra, I got extended. I mean, my 10 years got reset.
They flit back and forth on that for a long time. Every time you took a test, they'd bump it. And it used to be, you know, novice, tech, general, advanced, extra, you could get bumped a bunch of times.
Right.
And then they said, we're not going to do that anymore. Your license term will end when it was supposed to end, regardless of what you do in the meantime. And we were like, okay, whatever. And they stuck to that for a long time. And it's just been the last, I don't know, 2-3 years that sometimes they'll bump the expiration date.
Yep. And
without a fee, it doesn't matter. With a fee, geez, for $35, they ought to bump you out a ton or 10.
Okay, Peter, tell me the name of that program you're using.
For the video stuff?
Yeah, for the video stuff.
It goes by OBS, and I think that's short for Open Broadcast Studio, but I think everybody just calls it OBS now.
So if you Google obs.com.
No, if you OBS Studio is what it
Okay.
says on the about screen here. So if you look
Okay.
OBS Studio, you should get to the right
.com.
thing.
I'll try that.
Well, I don't .com, I don't know, but OBS Studio is the name of the thing.
Okay. I mean, where'd you download it from?
No, the internet, man. I don't know. I Googled it and there it was. Oh no. It was a legitimate site. I mean, it's free software, but let's see here. It is obsproject.com.
Is that all one word?
OBS Project. Yep.
Okay. Take a look at that. Might be fun to play with. I got to work on my QSL cards first, though.
Yeah, I mean it just works. I mean, it's got an audio mixer, it's got you can set up different scenes. This is a scene, but then this is a scene too. So it has all that stuff pre-selected in there. And that brings up well, if I was clicked on the right thing, that would bring up a browser window, but I don't have a browser open. That's why it didn't come up. If I do that and I do that, yeah, that's the company
You're
website
doing all this
there.
on that little bitty new computer of yours?
Yeah, well, yeah, and I could do it on, what am I doing here? I could do it on my older computer with the i3 in it, but it sure is a lot smoother with the i7.
Yeah, imagine.
So what does this little nut cost with nothing? I mean,
Oh, the first one with the i3 was, it was around $300, and this one was quite a bit more. This is like $600.
yes, I was looking at it a minute ago. It looks like $700 or $800. I mean,
Yeah,
depending on whether they have hard drives.
Yeah, I've got a NUC 11 with the Core i7, and it's the tall one, so it has the drive bay in it. And I don't know which i7. I don't know if you get a choice. I think they have them with i9s now too, but
i9's a pretty high dollar chip.
it is.
So I'm driving the price way up.
It does. That's why I have an i7.
Yeah.
So
I
is an i7 worth that much more than an i5? I mean, is there a
Yeah, I can tell the difference. I've got i5 machine out in the Astro shed, and I can tell that this i7 is faster.
Okay, I didn't know because I've
well,
got.
this little box I got is an i5.
Okay, let me take that back. My son recently built an i5 machine, but the newer i5 seems to be a lot faster than my old i5 that I've got out there that's probably 3 or 4 years old. So I don't know what the difference is in them now, but it's got a lot more cores in them or something. And his is definitely faster than that one out there. So maybe it depends on which i5 you get.
Yeah, I mean, my old NUC is a 7th generation NUC. The new one's 11th.
Yeah.
The old one is an i3 from 2017. The new one's an i7 from whatever year it is. What year are we? 2022.
An i3 is a dual core, and an i5 is a quad core.
Yeah, and I think an i7 has more cores than that even. So
yeah, it does. I don't remember either.
Yeah, let me look here. System about it is. No, it doesn't say. It does say that it's an 11th generation Core i7 running at 2.8 gigs.
That's a fast chip.
It's not bad. It doesn't tell me how many cores on that page. Let's see if I go to the real control panel and the real device manager. And I remember where CPU is. Oh, I thought you could look at the CPU. Oh, processors. There it is. It seems to have 8 cores.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. It certainly acts like it has 8 cores because there's really no. I'm running. This is HD video on this camera. This camera is not. This is quite a bit less. It's like it could maybe be plugged into a different USB port. And it's fine. It doesn't. Nothing slows down. It's pretty good.
Well, I'll tell you the reason I'm asking a lot of this is I've got a security system, security cameras that run through. I've got a computer here. It's actually a little Dell I picked up for $150, but it's
Wow.
just doggy. I mean, when I go in to look at the video or anything, it's just, I mean, it's so slow. Yeah, I yawn too. Good doing there, Peter. Yeah, yawn. And but it's a what is this? Celeron.
Oh
chip.
yeah, that's a different family of chips.
Yeah,
The core, it's different.
That's a dog compared to i7.
Yeah,
so I'm thinking real seriously about getting another one of these little boxes, some kind. I don't need this thing, and anyway, but I'm just trying to
Celeron has always been the sort of the neutered chip, but it was made up for it by being inexpensive.
Right.
But the other ones were I don't keep track of Intel's names anymore, but Core seems to be their real chips, and depending on how many eyes you buy, it goes faster and faster.
Okay, this computer is an i7 6700 3.4 gig, 8 cores.
Wow, 3.4 gigahertz, eh? That's pretty good. Where did my window
32
go?
gig of RAM and 64-bit operating.
I remember when I finally put in 32 megs in my 486. That was pretty exciting.
Yeah, but you know what? That's fast for about 30 minutes, and then you get used to it, and you
Yep.
don't even notice it.
Yep. Exactly right. Mine is well, it says 1165 G7. Does that make any sense?
It's different
Yeah, it is
numbering than
different.
mine,
Yeah.
but who knows? Yours is a newer chip. It's probably faster than this one.
I don't think so. I think the clock speed is only 2.8 gigahertz. Which is, it's fine with me. I don't care, but
Well, and it's interesting to me because you can get an I I was just looking a minute ago at this exact same thing in the newer, like this is an i5 2.9 gigahertz, and there's an i7 2.9 gigahertz.
Yeah.
So I don't, but they're both, I mean, they're i5 versus i7, but
You got more
yeah.
cores, more cores in there going though.
More cores and the cache size, and I don't know what the cache size
They used
is
to
on
tell
this.
that cache size, and that
Yeah, but not quite anymore. Not in the Windows system about thing in settings.
Right,
They certainly
right.
don't. But
and the other thing is where's the line where Windows 11 will install?
download the tool. There's a tool called Why Not 11, and it's a portable app. You just download it and run it, and it'll tell you what you're missing. And it's funny because on my i3 NUC, it passed everything. It has the trusted platform thingy, but the CPU isn't supported.
Yeah, well, that's my my personal laptop that I use every day. It tells me it's not eligible to upgrade, but this one I've got here in the ham shack, I upgraded, and it seems to be doing fine.
Yeah, I didn't want to. I'm 10 works good for me. I know where everything is. I know how it works. I thought,
well, it does for me too, except they're going to quit supporting it. I mean,
but they're going
but not like 3 years.
They're going to quit supporting Windows 7 too, but I'm still using that on a few computers.
Oh, well, I'm not that brave, but
but they still support all the security stuff. I get upgrades all the time on
Windows 7.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. See, I thought that's what the ending of support meant, that
I
they
get that all the
be
time.
more security upgrades and stuff like that. So
I've never had a problem with any. The computer out in the Astro shed is Windows 7. The only problem is I don't use it very often, and every time I power it up, I gotta wait for all them updates.
yeah. Well, that happens on this. Well, it did till I went to Windows 11, but this ham shack seemed like every time I'd fire it up, it had to do updates before it let me in. So, but, oh man, I'll be back in a sec. I've got a 3D print going in here. I need to keep checking on.
3D printers.
Well, I know you're a member of the DX club.
Yeah.
So what kind of benefits am I going to get if I join?
I don't know. They send money to the expeditions.
Yeah, and you get any advance notice on when a DX is going?
I don't know. That's a good question. You should ask Kim.
Yeah.
Tell him I sent you. He'll talk your ear off about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm
What was the
sure.
question? What I miss?
Yeah, Oklahoma DX Association.
Well, I wanted to know if I join, if they send me any advanced information about the DX petition.
I don't know. The mailing list is pretty active, but it's mostly what people have worked today type of thing,
Yeah.
If Kim would ever come on these Zooms, he
Yeah,
could
but
answer all these questions.
Yeah.
Well, I need to, the time change screws me up every year. God, I hate it.
This is
I
about
need,
the time we always quit, you know,
yeah,
old time, but
yeah. Well, I do need to quit, so I'm going to do that.
I do too.
yeah, me too.
We,
I
we
am
had a
very,
pretty good session tonight, though.
Yeah. Appreciate all the help with the logging software there, Ken. I really,
Yeah, you're welcome. If you have any questions next Tuesday, we'll be here. We can
yeah,
iron them out.
I don't know
will,
whether I'll be here or down there. It's,
I am
gas
remote.
drops back in the $2 range, you know.
I
Yeah.
work remote tomorrow, so I'll probably be around on the Discord channel
All right.
because I think I've got everything hooked up right now. So
I'm the only one that's on there, me and Mike.
I'm on there sometimes.
Every once in a while you get on there.
Yeah.
I've got it on my phone.
You could get on there more often, Peter.
Well, I was at work today, actually physically at the office today, so it wasn't going to happen. But tomorrow I'm remote, so I'll be on there.
Having to work for a living is a pitch, isn't it?
Yeah, we're fortunate in IT at OU that we have been permitted by HR to do a hybrid remote schedule. And our boss says, yeah, 2 days in the office, that's fine.
Good.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'd prefer it was 0 days in the office, but 2, okay.
2's better than 5.
2's better than 5 any day, especially at what did I fill up at today? $3.99, $4.99. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
It's kind of expensive. And if I don't have to drive, then that's great. I have fiber.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right.
See you later.
Take care. Good to see you, Peter.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Bye.
I'm gone too. Oh, I guess I'm the boss.